Yeah, the dog show. Hey, you ready? The dog show with Nick and Joe. It's a beast. It's going down.
What?
It's off the chain. It's off the leash. I'm tuning in Friday every week. The dog show podcast. Yes, indeed. Hold up. Check out the podcast. Listen to it online. Giving you advice to help train your K9. Take your dog to the next level from the experts of obedience. The dog show, dog show. Guaranteed you're needing this.
What?
Hey, off the leash. K9 training, Facebook and IG. And the site is so amazing. Yeah, the dog show with Nick and Joe. Hold up. The dog show with Nick and Joe.
Hey.
Alrighty, let's get into some sponsors real fast. We want to thank DemonABitesuits.com. Check them out on Facebook at DemonABitesuits.com. You can get literally what we consider to be the best suits in the world at the best cost. And in addition, you can, at checkout, type in Dog Show for an additional 10% off your entire order. So DemonABitesuits.com. Chris Pell is the owner, super great guy. Next one, we want to thank Flower of Life CBD. Check them out at folcbd.com. Pet CBD, they have human CBD, they have gummies, everything. 100% legal in all 50 states, super good for you. We're huge advocates here on the show. You can use discount code DOGSHOW as well for 10% off. And then finally, we want to thank Whistle GPS collars for your dog. We talked about it a couple episodes back. It is absolutely amazing. It's about the size of a quarter. You just clip it onto the dog's normal collar, and you can watch wherever they are live on your phone. Use discount code DOGSHOW when checking out, and you get, I believe, $15 off the entire order. Want to thank our good friends Sam Edmonds and Paul Ludwig for being here for special episode number 13. Thank you to Sean for hitting the boards once again today. Let's get into it.
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys?
Power up request received. Initiating systems. Powering of transmitters. Live from OLK9 Studios in Virginia. They tell it like they see it. They educated the not so educated. And you'll laugh your ass off. Introducing The Dog Show with Nick and Joe. A podcast with knowledgeable info, rants, and absolute randomness. You're listening to the sounds of uncensored honesty from two of the most respected dog trainers in the industry. Live on Facebook every Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. New episodes available for download every Saturday. The Dog Show with Nick and Joe. Download on iTunes, Google Play, and iHeartRadio.
All right, welcome to episode 13, everyone. Appreciate everybody joining us live on Facebook right now. I got my main man, Nick White, sitting across the table from me. How are you, sir?
Good, good. What's going on, guys?
Man, happy to be in here tonight. It's a good night. We have the K9 Guardians themselves. We have Mr. Paul Ludwig to my right and Mr. Sam Edmonds to Nick's left. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Good.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Appreciate you guys coming out today.
Appreciate you inviting us out.
This evening. Paul's been on the show before, and yeah, people loved you, man. So we figured, why not? Let's bring you back on and bring your partner in crime, Mr. Sam Edmonds, with you. So for those that don't know these guys, they started. I'm not going to get into the whole detail of how they got started with K9 Guardians, but they did a movie called K9 Guardians. It's now available on YouTube, and that's okay for everybody to go watch, right? Okay. So it's on YouTube. It's an hour and 26 minutes, I believe, and it is one of the most amazing, realistic documentary-type movies I have ever seen. Now, I'm a bit biased because I'm a dog guy, and, you know, there's a lot of shit dog movies out there. When I say shit, they're not necessarily documentaries or real-life stuff. They're just fake stories. This was as real as it gets.
It's as real as it gets.
Nick has watched it as well. What'd you think, man?
I really liked it. I really did. Like you said, I mean, there's no better way to put it than as real and as raw as it gets. And, you know, if you're into, like, working dogs and protection, law enforcement, any of those things, I would highly, highly recommend it. Just go to YouTube, type in Canine Guardians. You'll see it'll come up. It'll say Canine Guardians full movie. Definitely watch it. You won't be disappointed. Even if you aren't into movies, but you just want to see some like savage Malinois and some awesome decoys, check it out. But yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I love watching it. I mean, there's nothing you can say more about it. I mean, putting the situations that you guys put dogs in, like, even I was surprised because I've seen a lot of decoys at this point work. Jacob Robinson, Cody Talent, a lot of really good decoys that I like. And I loved when you guys had the Malinois that did the bite and then you dunked him underwater. Like, I was like, holy shit. And what was even more impressive, the dog held on to the bite. Like, if I was biting you and you held me underwater, I would have let go. So yeah, it's just a real raw, savage, educational, great movie.
It's a badass film. One of you guys tell us how all of this came about. How the movie? How'd you guys meet? First off,
well,
Paul
story is going to be a little bit different than his story.
Here we go.
Here we go.
It's already starting.
Listen, can I start?
From the club, go ahead.
Paul was stripping at actually, I had this I had an idea myself some time ago, so I'll go ahead and ask Nick about this. So I was sitting around watching this other dog show on TV one time.
I think you can name it, right? We can just it's whatever it is.
It was Alpha Dogs.
Oh, okay, Alpha Dogs, Von the Kennels,
I saw a lot of things that I didn't agree with, taking in consideration, my knowledge, things that I've experienced, or just whether I experienced it personally or watched the different guys that I trained with experience. But I saw a lot of things that were different or wrong or wasn't reliable, and my whole purpose for training the dog is for the reliability or whatever. So I saw a lot of things that I didn't agree with in Alpha Dog. So I was this internet guy, you know what I mean? If I saw something, then I just
he was a troll.
He was a troll.
That's all right.
What I meant. So listen, like I said, I don't know if Nick will remember this, but it was an episode on, I think at the time they were trying to force this dog into the water or something like that. The dog, they were going to sell this dog.
Yep.
So I was going back and forth, and I happened to be going back and forth with you at the time.
Nice.
So the response that I had gotten from Nick was, and I take it that we hadn't put any videos out, we weren't doing anything or whatever. So Nick's response was, your dogs would be as good as that if you weren't spending that much time on the internet.
Sounds like, to Sam's credit, that sounds exactly like something I would say.
So then one of the guys from the show, he said something, and I was like, well, you'll see what it's about because we're gonna be doing a documentary. He was like, yeah, ha ha, blah blah blah. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna show this guy or whatever. So
that does sound exactly like Nick.
It ended up.
You have an amazing memory.
Yeah, look, I know. Listen, so it ended up. I ended up meeting this this camera guy that was working out of Baltimore or whatever, and he was filming some things or whatever, but it just wasn't my idea of what I wanted to film or whatever. So then, me and Paul hooked up, and
stalking began, and then he's like, I can take it only so far, and
go
I
ahead
need a
and
star
tell him your
sexy.
version. I gave him the real up until we started working together.
Welcome to the dog show, everyone. All right, now let's hear version 2.
Okay, so I just met Sam about a week ago. No, the real version.
No,
with
tell the version that you told on the documentary. Tell that version with the flip flops and everything. So go ahead.
All right, so I grew up playing football on this one field,
he was raised in a black neighborhood. Go ahead and
all right, so I kind of was, and but I went back to this place that I used to play
neighborhood,
football,
the black neighborhood.
You're going to get into that story in a little bit too. So I go back. I take all my guys from my department. I know this field. I played football on it forever.
He knows the streets. I don't know why you're trying to talk different. I don't know why you're trying to talk different.
So I go there, and when I get there, I take my guys over there, and we start training. And then Sam comes walking up with flip-flops.
His gang.
It wasn't my gang. The boys in blue at the time. So Sam comes walking over, and he's got flip-flops on, his hat's backwards, and I thought he was just a lost kid because he's short, and I didn't know. I'm like,
He had his backpack on.
Yeah, Dora the Explorer, I think, as a matter of fact. No, but so a lot of times the cops are kind of standoffish. They are. They're assholes toward people. They're just, if you're not a cop, then they don't know you. And until they know you, they're just kind of standoffish. And it's kind of normal everywhere, the way it is. But at the time, I had seen Sam over that field a couple times before in the background. And I had seen you messing with dogs over there, and that's when you came walking up, and from there it went. You were just like, hey, can I play with dogs with you guys, and can I do this and that? And
so
I felt sorry, and so
Sam comes up to you and he says, and this is while you're on duty, correct?
Yeah.
And Sam's just hanging out, right? Mm-hmm. Sam comes up to you and says,
well, I came up to Folder, and I'm gonna tell.
Yeah, you can say, you can do it. Yeah, you came up to
Folder, and I was like, hey, listen, who's in charge of the dogs? Blah blah blah. I want to talk to somebody. He was like, hold on, just wait right here. We got some dogs out. And I'm like, these pieces of shit ain't gonna do nothing to me. You know what I mean? So
shit.
I mean, that's just my
Sam's
my
like
mentality.
Sam's like, I'll run every dog here on the field.
Right.
Right. So that's what I told Chris. But Chris went over and then he grabbed Paul, and we hooked up a couple of days after that, and he actually tested a couple of dogs. I think it was about 2 dogs or something, and then
Hannibal, or what was that one?
Lecter.
Mm-hmm.
Lecter, and then it was a solid black male that I ended up donating.
Mm-hmm. So reflecting back, Sam, in your honest opinion, looking back, were they shit dogs?
No, they weren't, because again, with Paul, and I said this in the documentary, with Paul growing up from the hood.
Yeah.
Growing up in the hood. No, I'm serious, because it kind of like makes a difference in any with any job that you have. If you can relate or talk to different type of people, I mean, it's just better for you, better for the whole situation. Whereas, like he said, it's a lot of different officers, a lot of different agencies that I'd been to, and they were standoffish, and they acted like assholes or whatever, But Paul
from
was
the
like,
get-go.
Yeah.
Tell him, stop right there for a minute. Tell him what happened to you today before I picked you up. Let's talk about this.
I don't know. He had
But
some police officer pull
I did
me over.
not have.
He
I did not set it up.
No, but listen, and
Sam calls me in a high-speed pursuit, going, "They're getting me. They're behind me. What do I do?"
I'm glad that he brought this up. Because it's a lot of different things that's going on in the world today, different communities or whatever, with all of these officers shooting these guys. Some of them innocent, some of them not innocent or whatever. But just based on my experience today, now the officer that pulled me over, I knew that he was like a rookie.
This was today.
Today.
Super.
I'm not lying.
On the way to the show, right?
Yeah.
No. Well, on my way to meet Paul. I knew that the guy was a rookie based on a number of different things.
Okay.
It was 2 officers in the car. He had a different colored uniform on. He was,
super high and tight, probably.
Well, no, he was just.
He was probably with the field training officer.
He wasn't talking with a lot of confidence or whatever. But he told me, he said, "Listen, I pulled you over because he told me that everything was being recorded." I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. He said, "The reason why I'm pulling you over is because I saw you on the telephone, and then you didn't have your seatbelt on or whatever." He went back to the car or whatever. So the other officer that was with him, when he came up, and this is, and I'm talking about this because I think that this is something that's important. Not only with police officers, but when it comes to dogs, about having the right person or the right animal for the job.
Sure.
Because they have to make decisions.
Sure.
And sometimes it's sometimes it's quick or even before making a decision, it has to be the right dog or the right person for the job. So the police officer that comes up on the passenger side, he said, what is that on the side of your seat? And I was like,
it's a gun.
A bottle.
It's a gun.
A bottle of cologne. It was a bottle of cologne. It wasn't your
called Glock.
Typical, right. It wasn't your typical. No. Listen,
it wasn't your. Because it wasn't
your typical shaped bottle of cologne. It wasn't small and rectangular. It was more long, narrow, and it did have like a powder coated color or whatever.
Sure.
But he said, you should probably put that in the glove compartment. Why, motherfucker? It's cologne.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So right now you're telling me that because you see something that you think, and then you're only 2 feet away, that this could possibly lead to something else. So, motherfucker, if you're that scared, you're not the person for the
You're
job.
the wrong one. Yeah.
That's
You know what I mean? I shouldn't have to put my cologne in the glove compartment, because now if my cologne is in the glove compartment where my registration is, now I'm reaching to one.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So that's why you need the right person and the right animal to do the job.
So it's all about selection, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's my main point
in the
in
about
the
you,
documentary.
how you approach people, how
Right.
you talk to people.
Right.
And I guess once you are selected, and Paul could probably answer this better than anybody sitting at the table, it's about training at that point, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but I'm not,
Well,
not
to a point.
It's
I mean-
about training, but this is the problem. They train, and they train, and they train, and they train.
they still
They
don't
don't
have
train, they don't test.
it.
Train, you test. You train, you test. You train, you test.
Yeah, deep.
Just like police officers, they have to go recertify to shoot, right?
Yeah, qualifications.
Yeah, so
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I would definitely agree that, whether it's a dog or a human as a police officer, you either have it or you don't. I mean,
but
can.
the thing is that it's nobody for the police officers that's going to stand up and say, "Oh, he's fucked up. He can't do this job anymore." You know what I mean? They just keep putting him back out there, not taking into consideration the problems that he's having at home or the animosity that he has amongst his colleagues. Because
specifically that.
Right. So now they take those problems from home in the police station, where in normal situation, the shit that they get into at the police station, if it was with a civilian, they'd be pressing charges or going to court. But no, you let that shit slide in the office and then go take it out on a civilian.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you on that. I just feel like that when talking about the human officer, okay, so not the dog, when it comes down to like you even said, there's no doubt in my mind this guy was a rookie, right? So I feel like a lot of that, like that paranoia from a cop, because I have no former police experience, and I can even point out the rookies when I get pulled over. I'm like, Jesus, this is clearly your first week on the job.
Right.
I feel like a lot of that just comes with experience, and it's almost like you meet the veteran officers and they walk up confidently to the vehicle and maybe they're joking with you. It feels like that you can at that point just take a deep breath. You know what I mean?
But don't ever doubt that they wouldn't shoot you if they needed to immediately. And
No,
I know what
and
you're
I
saying.
don't,
And
and I
it's
don't.
more of the air of the person that's dealing with you. And getting back to the field when Sam kind of walked up, where other guys are like, "Who is this guy?" They weren't intimidated by Sam, but they're like, but people are normally like, "Why is this guy walking up on us?"
Yeah.
And people don't approach cops, and I'm like, just
Especially
relax
with
for a minute.
dogs out on the field.
Yeah, and it's like, what's up? Hey, yeah, I've seen you handle some dogs. Why don't you come over and join us? That's not a normal thing that a lot of cops would do.
Yeah.
Correct.
But I was very comfortable with him. I would have shot Sam if I needed to
Sure.
right away.
Still,
I have.
Still would probably,
Oh,
right?
absolutely, without hesitation. But I might be as calm as this before I do it. And then wham. So keep your hands where I can see them.
Well, it's good to talk about this, Nick, because it's a weird time for cops right now, right? I mean, it's there's a lot of shit going on, as everyone knows, on the news.
I feel like the news makes a lot of issues worse than it is.
No, that's
now
with
as
everything.
well.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can. But the problem is,
I feel like
that
99% of cops want to do and try to do the right thing.
yeah.
I mean, what would you guys say on that?
Silence.
Me personally.
No, give your honest opinion.
Yeah,
me personally,
seriously.
And I was talking to him about this before I came out. They they whenever you want to correct something or make something better, if you want to be a better person, you have to admit that you were wrong. They stick together no matter what. They're not going to admit when they're wrong. They're going to make up a story or whatever, just like the police officer that got shot in PG County about a month ago or whatever. Everybody knew. This was before, they admitted, they never admitted it. Everybody knew that guy was sleeping with that chick or whatever.
Right.
But the police department, they're not going to admit that. You know what I mean? They're going to make him look like an angel or whatever.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But that's not how you resolve a situation. You have to, everybody knows, the average person knows or should know that everybody isn't perfect. It doesn't matter if you're a police officer or whatever. You know what I mean? You had people getting mad at the football players for taking a knee because of the flag. Listen, everybody that's in the military is not in the military because they love the flag or America. If they want to do the job. There's a bad apple in every bunch.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
You have some people that's just there to get a check.
Sure. Yeah.
So don't make it seem like every one of these people want to be there. That's not the case. But when you get in touch with reality, that's when things are going to get better.
I think the difference with that, though, in the military is, regardless whether they wanted to defend the flag or the Constitution or fight for or freedom, whether they wanted to when they signed the dotted line or not, they still knew that that's what, in fact, they were signing up for. Whether they wanted to or not defend that flag or defend the Constitution, they knew for a fact that this is my job is to defend the Constitution and the freedom of the people, and you know what I mean?
I understand that, but for an NFL player, that's not what they signed up to do. So
no, and I agree, and I think
shouldn't be mad for them wanting to take a knee. You know what I mean? Because you have the same people that are in the military that's giving these people hell about taking a knee or whatever, but you have some of those same people that say, "Oh, you're disrespecting the flag," but you're out here committing adultery, cheating on your wife. You cheating on your wife or your husband, and you worried about this motherfucker disrespecting the flag.
Yeah, no,
and
I'm with you on that. I just feel like that. I felt like the whole taking the knee for the football, it could have all been avoided. Just don't play the fucking national anthem with the players on the field. That way, if they want to stand, they can stand. If they want to kneel, they can kneel.
When it comes to money,
no, I get it. I get it.
So then get back to the point. Then the whole point of everything we're talking about is media. It's media blitz. It's
we all
what I don't
agree
like
on
about
that.
it is it gets to the point where I don't know who I was talking about this, but when we grew up, our parents before us, it was they would watch the news, Channel 7, Channel 9 in our hood that we grew up in. But no, they would watch the news, and that's what they did. So whatever you were fed is what you pretty much believed.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. But nowadays, I think that it just, what I don't like about any of it is it incites hate in any aspect, whatever they can twist it on. It could be hating the NFL player the first day, and then it can be hating the cop the second time, and then it can be hating it, they twist it in whatever. It's like, I can tell you personally, and I think you know this about me, when I became a cop, I wanted to hunt the bad guy. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to hunt the bad guy and find the bad guy. My victim, I didn't care who my victim was. White, black, it didn't matter. Race, color, creed. If they were the victim, I was there to protect them as good as I could. Now, catching the bad guy, I hope that they gave up. If they didn't give up, if they fought me, I'd hit them with a brick. I'd do whatever I had to do to subdue them, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
But once I got handcuffs on them, it was over with.
But
now, how many times did we have?
But you have people skills. A lot of these officers don't have people skills, or they.
I agree. I agree with that.
They're not used to interacting with different.
So
races
now you're
and
getting
different
back
things.
into the way we grew up.
Well, maybe this is a good question to bring it back into the dogs. So just like the police canine dogs that you guys work with, the police canines, and you find their flaws and deficiencies and work them through it, would you say that the law enforcement officers, like the bad ones that we're talking about, would you say it's the same as the canines? Would you say it's a training issue with the police and
it's
the
a
canines,
genetic
or would you
issue.
say it's a selection issue?
It's a genetic. It's something in them. It's not selection because whoever's selecting them, I mean, all they have to do is take a test, a written test, and
Interview,
go through
test,
go through different things. But at the end of the day, the difference between the dog and the officer is the dog can't talk, so you have to figure everything out on its own. The human can talk, but he's only going to tell you so much shit. You know, he's not going to tell you the truth. It's only when, and let's get back to the way that I feel like I need to train dogs. I train them in the most rough situation that I can think of without harming the dog.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Because I know if he can go through the training with shit being rough,
then
I got something.
Yeah.
But you never know with the human until shit gets rough. You know what I mean? When the bank accounts gets low and your wife run out on you, you be like, this fuck.
That's
you know what I mean? So you don't know.
And a lot of people who haven't watched like Canine Guardians or aren't familiar with Sam and Paul and Iron Dog Canine, there's what you guys like. Tell everyone like what you guys do. Like you travel around with and work with different police departments. Police departments come to you guys, right? Both of those.
Yeah,
or just
we have been, and we're actually on our reunited tour right now, I think, and I'm gonna put that video out pretty soon.
Who was that?
And you're Peaches.
This news for Sam, huh?
You're Peaches.
Peaches and Herb.
Yeah, 1978, I think. Spin that for us real quick.
That's kind of what you guys do is like find flaws, deficiencies in canine training, right?
You have to.
It's not that it's.
But it's ones they don't know they have.
You want
right?
to. That's the whole purpose or goal as far as training. You want to see where the holes are and see if the dog can be worked through that. You know, it's no sense of going out there and making the dog look like it's a superstar and making it look like, you know, everything is okay.
That's what
we want to see what the
certification is
problem
for.
is.
Exactly.
You know?
No, but that's true. That's what certification
High
is for.
flying.
Show them that they can do that. They can do their basic things, but it is looking for holes in their training, seeing if you can. For me, it's pushing that dog to another level that they didn't think they could get that dog.
That they haven't
right.
been pushed to in training so far.
And then them being happy with that, and then you being content with that, going, damn right, we were able to do this, and you can't do that with every dog.
And with the police canines that you guys have worked with, what percentage would you say that after like pushing them that you're like, dog probably shouldn't be out with an officer?
When I try to break that down before, I misspoke a little bit about that, but you know, on average of 20 dogs that you might have in a class that will go through, it doesn't mean every class, but sometimes on average you'll have one or two dogs that are very borderline. Some of them should not be on the street. You have a couple dogs on the opposite end that are very solid. Their handlers work with them. They're ready to go. They're ready to be pushed. And then you have that group, that median group that's in the middle that
could go on either side.
Oh, well, yeah. Now, bad training or bad exposure could be detrimental to them. But if you do something good, it's going to bring them up to another level.
And what I don't understand is how, you know, a dog can be on an agency for a certain amount of time. And one in particular, for example, I was testing a dog, and this dog was close to like a couple of months from being retired, like 8 or 9 years. And they didn't know that the dog was scared of the dark.
Wow.
Or scared of the stairs.
That was O'Gara or wherever we were doing the night vision goggles or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it does mind blow you. Now, I know from the law enforcement side, I know that your hands are tied sometimes because of, they're like, if you want a unit, this is the money we can spend.
Department policies.
Well, also the whole thing on they get to select where if somebody underbids them, and then you're stuck having to go
and
there.
The way that I look at that is this. Okay, we only have, you know, $5,000 or $6,000 to pay for your dog or whatever. So in my mind, you know, because we all, you know, take things in a different way or whatever, I'm looking at it like, damn, he's giving you they're gonna pay $5,000 for you to get buried because the dog is gonna get you killed. You know what I mean? So,
well, I like the analogy of the helmet. I love the one that we're talking about.
Yeah. You know, my again, I have an issue with. It's okay to get. I'm not going to say you can't get a good dog that's donated. I'm not going to say you can't get a good dog for $2,000 or $4,000. But most of these agencies that want to just spend $5,000, go to the cheapest vendor or get the cheapest dog that they can get. I mean, you get what you pay for.
Correct.
You know, and sometimes a lot of people don't know what they're getting because they actually don't have the knowledge or the education to you know, determine what type of dog they have or whatever. But I was telling Paul my first motorcycle that I bought from Cycles USA out in Aspen Hill, a guy named Steve Buck. I spent like, I don't know, 10, 12 grand on a bike or whatever. And I was like, Steve, you know, how much are the helmets? He said, "How much is your head worth?"
Wow.
That's deep.
You know,
Wow.
you can get a helmet for $200. You can get one for $1,200.
Yeah.
How much is your head worth?
Yeah.
You
So that's
know?
kind of how you look at the
Yeah,
canines.
of course.
I would have got a $60 helmet for you. I'm just
At
saying.
the time, yes.
Is my mic on? Yeah, I just wanted to say that.
That's awesome, man. So let's go back to the movie. So you guys decide that you want to do this documentary. We heard, and I'll let you touch on this again, for those that are watching now that didn't see you last time. What was your vision, Sam, on Canine Guardians? What did you want the people to see?
It really didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. You know, it wasn't as. I mean, it's raw, but it's not as raw as I
We were
wanted.
gonna go to jail
because people can't stomach it. You know, so.
Had to tone it down a little.
Well, no, and this is the thing. Okay, so it was a good combination because sometimes I would bring you back, and then sometimes you would bring me back. Most of the time, I was bringing you back, unless I was trying to push you one more time for one more thing that you would say. No, we should stop here because I'm going to end up getting hurt. And I'm like, stop being a bitch and just do it. And then you end up bleeding. And it only happened like 10 or 12 times.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just get shot in the face.
Yeah,
As
I
if
mean,
I didn't know
stop
what was,
whining. I
as
mean,
if
come
I
on.
didn't know what the consequences were going to be.
Right. But I think for me it was kind of like I knew that when we showed the scene in there with the shepherd that was supposed to be the strong shepherd, and he was, and you could not that he was strong. Away from that dog was nasty, growling, sounded like the baddest dog you'd ever hear.
Well, I mean, he had a track record. I mean, he was given away for that reason. And then when Paul got him, all he would do was hit the panels on the kennels, and I just walked by.
Are you talking about
him.
the one that was donated or was trying
Right.
to be
Yeah, the one that
donated?
the guy was like, this dog can be a
As a
police
savage.
dog.
So
Yep.
he'd bounce off of the kennels,
like he had
bouncing
rabies.
off at me like I've never seen it or whatever. And I was
You
just looking
peed a
at
little
him.
bit the first time
No,
standing out
no,
there.
I didn't. I was looking
Bullshit.
at him and I said,
You standing out there and you're like, I'm
Listen,
not getting in the suit with that dog.
Listen, I'm telling
Tell
you,
him
it's
the
a
truth.
lot of
This is
things.
raw.
It's a lot of things.
Behind the scenes
Listen.
bullshit.
It's a lot of things that I don't do with dogs because I don't know what the ultimate goal is for them, so I won't fuck with them. You know what I mean? I
don't
won't
wanna fuck
you
'em
know,
up and shit, yeah.
So
So,
I don't
yeah.
know where they're gonna go, so I won't do anything. But I would walk past this dog all the time, and he hit the kennel, and I'll be like, "Motherfucker, it's gonna come one day when I'm gonna see you.
I'm gonna
know
call
what I
you on
mean?
your bullshit.
So you know,
Exactly.
so the camera guy, he was having some issues or something. He wanted a dog. Paul ended up giving him the dog.
Well, he had some shit happen to his house. Somebody broke in and we're like, put him in a
Yeah.
room. They got to go through this door. They got to go through him
Right.
first.
So the dog ended up biting him and then biting his uncle, and he kept, man, this dog is vicious, and I'm telling you, I can't touch him or whatever. I was like, I'm gonna get him one day or
Yeah.
whatever. So that day that we shot in the hallway, this is my first time ever testing him or whatever. I already knew what he was. He didn't know what he was. I
Yeah.
knew what he was or whatever. So you know,
So you already knew he was full of shit.
Yeah, we knew.
yeah.
I mean, and if you would have noticed that from the time I got him out of the car, he just talked shit the whole way.
whole way.
That dog was like, "Rah, where's he at? Where's Sam? Rah." He was just going crazy the whole walk down the hallway, and I'm just sitting there. I'm going, I'm bringing him to you.
And I
Here
and
we
I,
go.
and I gave him plenty of reason to dislike me, you know, because the times that he was hitting the
You
gate,
like meat
and I'm
mug him?
looking at him, you know, like, all right, you know.
So what we saw in Canine Guardians, where he comes out in the hallway, is that literally the first? That was the first time what we saw in video.
Yeah, but see, this is what I'm saying. Like when I was watching the show, where I was telling you I was going back and forth with you, I can look at shit and I can just see what it is. I don't have
predict
to.
it, too.
A lot of
You don't have to actually test it.
Yeah.
Well, a lot
Yeah.
of dogs I don't have to see in person. I get that I've seen a lot of that on the internet. You're not there. You can't see. The only thing that I can't tell is how hard the dog is biting. I see different things. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what angle he's in because I've seen every
Yeah.
angle as
His
every
entry, his
possible.
grip,
But
and-
you could tell in that documentary that was his first time going in there because he was confident. Or you could tell that it was his first time and nothing bad has happened to him because he was barking strong. He was at the end of the lead. He was scratching to get down there or whatever.
Yes, he was.
He's all pretty much people had always backed down from him essentially.
Everybody.
Until
Well, he
Everybody.
told
until he met Sam.
It's a learned
Everybody.
behavior. He knew if it works, then I'm gonna keep doing it.
Right.
That's what it was.
Well, I always say, when we work with a lot of dog aggression cases, and I always say, like, to me, it's like a bully mentality. It's like, you know, you try to put me in the crate, I snap, I growl at you, you leave me alone. You try to, you know, put me in here, I snap, growl, you leave me alone. And everyone's backing down, just like the bully, until finally that bully meets someone that fucking calls him on
because
it.
with the average person, and I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from like older trainers, like old school trainers that, you know, over time they may have added some new stuff or whatever, but old trainers that's like really serious, like, you know, you're a motherfucking dog, you're gonna be a dog. You know? But like one of the guys told me a long time ago, dogs only do two things. That's it. They don't do more than two things. They act and they react. That's it. So if the dog continues to bark at you and you do nothing, that's him acting. And, you know, once you put your hands on him or give him some type of physical
now he has to
you're gonna have to react, right? So,
well,
you know.
Let me ask you, Sam. What do you think about? I don't know if you even pay attention to videos online of other decoys and stuff. Where do you think the state of the art of decoying is at right now?
Well, I haven't been watching lately because I'm actually just getting back into the dog scene. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life or whatever, so I haven't really.
Talk about your son.
Oh,
I did.
Him.
No,
but
Sam's,
you know,
Sam's on his way doing real well at boxing right now.
It's like this for me. I don't know what it is about me. I've always been fortunate to have the best of the best or be around the best of the best. You know what I mean? So with me, being around somebody like Mike Suttle and Wayne Dodge, when I see somebody else do some shit, it's just some other shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't even, I'm like, you know, you're doing some shit. You don't even know why you're doing it. You know?
Yeah.
So when I see people, again, like Mike or Wayne, I've watched them do shit time and time again or whatever. I'm like, all this other shit, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean?
Right. So
pretty much you see a lot of like flashy, high flying decoying going on, but not
all it is
but
dog,
not really
all
testing
all it
dogs.
All it is dog is dogs biting. That's it. Okay, the dog is biting. So now what? I mean,
I feel like a lot of decoys, and again, I'm as green as it comes when it comes to decoying, but I feel like a lot of decoys like focus on the strength of the bite, and in my mind, I'm like, that's cool, you got a suit on, but as soon as that suit comes off, like, are you really going to be able to fucking tell that it's 8 pounds of pressure versus 58 pounds? Like, a bite is going to fucking hurt, right?
But it gets deeper than that, because if you take the suit off, are you going to see that same attitude?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, but assume that you do. Is there really that big of a difference between a dog that bites pretty good and a dog that bites hard as shit?
Goddamn right.
But without a suit, because I mean,
you goddamn right.
You think so?
I know so.
Yeah.
Because you have some dogs
first.
You have some dogs that pinch when they bite, whether it's full, like quarter, frontals, or the front, or whatever. But then you have some that have
dig
pressure.
Deep. Well, what about the analogy, like we talked about, the escape biting? And I don't know if we talked about it last time, but give me your arm real quick. You know, you get a dog that bites himself or bites you, and he starts to slowly work his way down. He wants to get that extremity.
Right.
And that's just in case you're a little bit more tougher than he is, and he will let go so he can get away. I explain it as an escape bite. We want that dog to be like your son right now, boxing, in the sense that I want him getting in toe-to-toe to where when he's biting Sam, he's looking him into his soul, and he's going, I don't care what you're doing to me. I am going to drive through you.
You're going to quit.
You're going to stop before I am. See, and that's a little bit of a difference in the dog.
You'll have some dogs that, I mean, it's different. But I'm going to just use this one example. You have some dogs that will bite, and, you know, they're biting it seems as if they're biting comfortable or calm, you know, in your bicep or whatever, and you're walking with them or whatever, but you can feel their hind legs like, I don't know where he's taking me. I'm not really that comfortable. But then you have another dog that's calm on the bite, but he's like, all right, let's dance. You go forward, left.
Let's do this.
And I think getting back to Joey with yours, I think that's where you will notice a difference. Like, he'll notice a difference in pressure where he can feel through that suit if it's too much for that dog to handle, and he'll let me know, or the handler know, all right, we're pushing him too much, or he does not like this. Like, for instance, taking dogs back into a corner, turning them around and pressing them out. They might be fine in the middle of a room completely fine. You back them into the corner, you're going to find out really what a dog is made of. A simple thing like that.
Yeah.
And so that's where you can judge that, where that hard, strong bite is getting weaker the more he's out of that center of that room.
Interesting.
And another big test, Sam, is when that target stops moving, stops being prey. Is he going to stay on, right? In fact, so you haven't met him. I think Paul's met him. My dog Diesel, who's bite trained, whatever. And shortly after our show last time, after we were talking about it, I wanted to test that. I had my decoy go dead, and to see what D2 does. And to my surprise, he fucking comes off the bite and he turns around and he fucking looks at me like, "What do you want me to do?" Yeah. I'm like, I want you to fucking bite him. Is what I want you to fucking do.
We were talking about that when we when on our way out here as well. And this is what a lot of people do, especially police officers or agencies or whatever. Not, necessarily when the dog when you have a decoy that's dead or anything, but in so many different situations, the dog is always relying on that handler for help. I don't want a dog like that.
Yeah.
They're always training. Tell your dog good boy and pet him up and pet him up. At some point, it's good or whatever, but you have to cut that shit out because
in real life,
it may be two of you guys one day, and the dog needs to work by himself with you, and I got to take care of you. So the dog doesn't need to be like, hey,
where'd my boy go?
Right.
Yeah, and in criminals, I mean, going back to the police dogs, criminals, if they're intelligent and they know dogs and they know police dogs, and they realize that that could be a potential to get the dog off of him is to just stop fucking moving. Don't say anything.
But that's not gonna.
I mean, realistically, that's probably not going to happen. But I think the fact that the option is out there,
right? No, it does,
right.
And he's saying that it doesn't happen with the way that we're training him or the way we're trying to really focus on, because we try to eliminate that hole or that gap.
Right.
But there has been one. There was one that happened years ago that a guy that was in the military had a dog sent on him, was going over through some hills, and the handler could not see the dog. And the guy just turned and gave him the dog a hard heel command. He had worked dogs in the military. Heel, and the dog that was getting ready to bite him said, "Oh shit, you're the one in charge," and just heeled right to him.
Yeah,
he heeled that dog off and tied that dog to a tree, and then called the sheriff's department to come get your dog.
That's awesome.
So we train with that shit in our head. That me personally, my own personal dogs, I never wanted anything like that to happen. I was always thinking outside of the box. We haven't tried this, or Sam. I would call him and he would come up with different ideas or whatever, but we were always saying, yeah, we haven't thought of this. Could this possibly happen? And sometimes we would push it a little bit, maybe too far.
Yeah, get a little
maybe the kayak. But
and one of the other things that the older guy, trainer friend, told me as well was, because we talk about different things that people say and that they say they were going to do with their dogs or whatever, and he's just like a nonchalant person or whatever. And he's just sitting around and he said, "Shh, fucking dog it ain't no better than his imagination." So if you can't
they're
imagine
only as
shit,
good as your imagination,
right.
exactly.
Well,
So yeah, I mean, but okay. So getting back to Sam,
I know he's gonna say something crazy.
no, it's actually not. It's just it's very intelligent. It's just like no, but I knew for the film, getting back to what we were talking about, I knew that for the film in that shot that we were going to get people that were going to hate us for that. Like, and we heard so much shit. Oh, and then I've heard people going, "Oh,
the German
I can't
Shepherd
believe
scene." Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Sam shouldn't have kicked the dog. And, oh, that dog did exactly what he should have done. And these people that are just putting, pages and pages of paragraphs of how great a trainer they were. Oh, this dog did exactly what he should have done. That dog would be fine under different circumstances. I'm like, this is
the dog that
we're
Sam
trying to
told
show
to sit.
you exactly, repeatedly. And then, but you saw at the end of
And
that,
he sat. Yeah.
and he did.
Yeah.
And then Sam we ended that scene or ended that whole situation where we didn't leave that dog hanging. Like, Sam ended up giving a bite. I don't remember if you slipped a jacket off for him or something, but he gave him something to get him out of there to make it a little bit positive because it was shit.
Yeah.
So it was, a good way to end that. But yeah, I knew if we got, Sam definitely wanted to push it and show a little bit more. But I think on some of the things, I think there would have just been too much backlash from
Peter would have just came and burnt down Iron Dog.
Well,
Canine.
I mean, you never know. I mean, in today's world that we live in, really.
I mean, I get tired of people, that talk about, whether it's the electrical correction collar or prong collars or whatever. When it comes to correction, I hate when people say you don't need that or you shouldn't use that or whatever. But my question to them is, what do wild dogs or wolves and coyotes and shit do? If a wolf or something is acting up in the pack or whatever,
they're gonna check them,
right? And it's gonna be physical.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of backlash?
Not really.
Or does it kind of come around?
Yeah, it's when I first started, definitely, because I mean, especially in Northern Virginia, I was kind of the first one to become popular to do it. So of course, initially, a lot of people was talking shit and troll, and every now and then we still get it on Facebook, because now we have 520,000 fans on Facebook. So of course, a lot of them are, you're going to get some trolls.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's always funny to me. We've talked about this a lot. I did Ryan Reynolds' dogs, and I shot an off-leash heel video in Times Square, New York, with both of his dogs. And I literally had someone comment where they're like, "Oh, I can do that with my dogs, and I don't need an e-collar." And now I just call people on it. I'm like, "Well, send me a
what do
fucking
you use?
video."
Yeah,
I'm like, "I'd love to see a
bacon
video
bits
of it."
And healing.
Yeah, and I'm like, and
I
and to this day, no one has ever actually sent a video. They're just the internet trolls, which I thought Sam was apparently that one day. And I'm like, well, let's fucking see it if you can do it. And then he came out with Canine Guardian. I'm like, all right. So
well, Sam had to, we're not, I don't even think we should get into that, but you had the best end all be all for handling a troll at one time. But that kind of got the filmmaker to leave the movie pretty much. I don't know if we can get into that.
I mean, we can get into whatever you guys want. This is raw and uncensored. I mean, we can get in as deep as you
You're
want.
talking to the two guys that give a shit the least. I can
So my thing
guarantee
is,
that.
you have a lot of people out there that. So when Sam and I got together and we're doing stuff and everything, and I like the perspective.
He couldn't talk. He was speechless. No, really, he couldn't talk because he was still
no,
employed.
because I'm the one thinking. Okay.
No, he was employed, and he would have back.
Well, absolutely, yeah. And that was part of it too. I had to be really careful.
So I had
because they
to
were
double
gunning for
talk.
me.
You had to walk the line.
Oh, so that's what you did?
I had to double talk.
Say your piece and his.
Right.
So a lot of times getting the trolls that would come out there and just hammering for no reason, and you get these guys that would send in their own videos of, I can do what you can do. I'm so much better than you do, and I've done this, and I do this with Fort Lauderdale police, and I do this with everybody and all these people, and this one guy in particular. And I'm not giving him the credit to say his name because I just think
Yeah, I don't
kind of a
blame you.
douche. But you have these people that are out there like, oh, you guys don't know what you're doing, and I'm like, look, I know the world I live in. I train to be the best at what the world I live in.
Sure.
I'm not trying to get on a field and do blinds. I'm not doing that. That's not my thing. It's to find the bad guys.
Right.
So Sam, kind of the same mindset, and this guy was just taunting. And finally, Sam just kind of replied something, and then it went way overboard. Not really, but it kind of did. But he just basically invited he invited his mom and his girlfriend out for a good time with Sam. He said, "Why don't you send kind of basically
bring the dog, bring your mom, bring your
girlfriend, yeah, and let's show who a real trainer is or something like that." To that point, and then the troll down there just wanted sympathy from everybody.
Wow.
Can you believe this? Sam said this
from
to me.
Canine
Look what he
Guardians
said to me, and
care.
they did this, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, that pissed me off so bad. And you're right, I was employed at the time, so I couldn't lose my job.
You had to
over
walk the
going
line. Yeah, you know what I've learned, especially like I said that we have a big following at this point, is and YouTube, all of that is. I just don't give a shit at this point.
No, but
that's the point.
You can't.
And I've always been that type of person. So like when people say shit on the internet, I'm like, these motherfuckers don't know me. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if you like me, follow me, like what I do, don't like what I do, buy a dog, don't buy. I don't care.
And that's my argument, Sam. Is you obviously we've all gotten the trolls, and it's like what is it going to solve? Like, even if I say, yeah, you're right, what is that going to do?
Nothing.
It's going to do absolutely
nothing. But it's just going to piss them off more. Like when I don't care, I'm pretty sure it pisses them off more.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Because I got so many other things that I was doing, and I'm always going to have so many different things that I'm doing. I don't give a fuck what you think.
Right.
You know what I mean? As long as my dogs are making progress, you know what I mean, they're not being harmed, and I don't have animal control on my ass. You can't.
So how did you feel, Sam? And this is from me to you, but how did you feel that when you were working personally, because you knew these guys that I work with, my unit specifically, how did you feel at the end of the day? And I know that you were putting your heart and your soul into everything to make sure that if Mark or Chris or somebody ran into some shit on the street, your confidence level went.
We put a lot of time, on the field and off the field. So everything, especially that I would do or we would do for those dogs, it was a little bit different. Not because I cared more for the dogs, because at the end of the day, any agency that we would deal with, I want results or whatever. But when you spend the amount of time, again, on the field, off the field, whether we're eating or calling each other on the phone or whatever, because our whole thing was, and the thing about it is,
I've been to so many back and forth to each other.
That too. So many different agencies, again, where they have like issues, like they're competing against each other. You know what I mean? Somebody want to be in charge, but when we're doing stuff with Metro Transit, everybody was on the same page. It was never, no, don't do it this way or whatever. It's like, we run into an issue. All right, let's put this dog up. We're going to figure this thing out.
It was a team effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's amazing to me, man, specifically in the dog training industry, how there's so much fucking knowledge out there between trainers all across the world, right? So much knowledge. And they don't all have to be fucking wrong. You know what I mean? In order for one person to be right. Like, there's so many different theories and techniques and styles and it's like if those guys would just stop talking shit to each other and go train dogs.
If you are building something and you have a toolbox, a hammer alone isn't going to do the job.
Yep.
You got different,
and that's kind of my argument. It's like, instead of talking so much shit, it's like let's collaborate.
They talk shit because they want to be the man.
It's ego.
Or the credit,
or the woman.
Whereas
or woman
or the woman.
The woman.
The woman. The. No, and we got issues with that, and it's true. But I think a lot have
collaborated.
Yes. A lot of them have gotten together and actually they recognize each other's skills, and I don't have a problem reaching out to somebody like that, and we have touch with some of them people.
We were the day of trial working with a dog, and I'm not gonna say his name.
Can I?
This dog would never out. He could never. He would never win the competition because his dog would not out.
Yeah.
Stress of the handler, competition, nervousness. The dog recognized, and it was like, "Fuck you! I'm doing what I want to do."
I said, "Listen, take this bat, just the baton, When you tell his ass to out, because at this point we couldn't use the collar because we didn't want him to rely on that, because he was a collar-wise dog. He'd know when he had it on or have it off or whatever. But the thing is, again, getting back to the pack thing, they physically correct the dogs or whatever. And whether you're training or on a call, most of the time, or definitely on a call, you're not going to have the collar on, no training equipment on or whatever. I said, listen, you always have your hands and your feet. So he's got to respect you. He's got to respect your voice. But when you go and tell his ass to out, you hit his ass at the same time, give it 2 seconds, and hit his ass in his head with this damn, flexi baton. It's no different than hitting him with a whip or whatever. Hit his ass in the head, whatever. We did that 2 or 3 times, and you can see it. I don't have the video anymore or whatever, but when it was his turn for the long bite, he sent the dog down there. He ran behind the dog, and he was like this. Out, he raised his hand because he got in it was muscle memory from what we were trying. But he outed and he won.
And it's a way. It's kind of it's not really a cheating way, but every handler, every trainer out there will do that. They'll be arguing, I don't ever want to use e-collar, never, never, never. And then on that third day of trials, when you need that out or that long out, they're behind a school, and cinching that bitch up tight. And they're like, and it used to be the shock and awe. It was never low stem. It was just, boom, out, and then that dog would be like, what the shit? And most of the time they didn't know where it was coming from. They think it was a decoy, but if it worked for that split second to get through and honestly, I'm just going to call that bullshit, because that bullshit is out there.
Yeah.
And people use different ways. The same thing. We had one that was out there yelling the same way, had done something, but what was he saying? The power of Christ compels you. He was like throwing his hands up instead of saying out, and the dog was just like looking at him as he's holding on a bite, and he's just, the power of Christ compels you, and he's doing this thinking some kind of movement the dog's going to see, and then all I need is that dog just to let go, and I can certify.
Yeah.
It's kind of bullshit. You know what I mean? So, and actually what I liked about Sam too is we wouldn't train to the point of that. Like, for instance, the 17-yard or 18-yard line down there for a recall. If the dogs get so acclimated and used to knowing right at that, whether you got cones out or not, at the point that they can run to,
correct,
and then you can give them the verbal recall, that even without a cone, they know it. Their ears drop. They know it.
They have an internal clock.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
They know.
Have an internal measuring
So
stick,
we're like, why are we doing this bullshit like we've done for years at the 18-yard line? Let's make it the 60. When you say no, that means no, or recall, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what we wanted to do, and that's why we started pushing limits, and then it made it so much easier for the dog, because then you didn't have that bullshit that would happen in certification, where they were at 19 yards and all of a sudden it was
his
weird.
last patrol dog didn't have an out, didn't have a recall, no recall. We started out with the 550 cord.
And it was a bad dog. Never had a bite on the street,
Right.
and then they were going to get rid of the dog.
It was too much dog for the previous handler. All of that.
Yeah.
90-pound Malinois.
Yeah.
No recall. I mean, we were out there one hot summer day, put the 550 cord on them or whatever, and worked our way to a last second half an inch recall. Dog comes.
That's the one that was in the movie where, like, I had actually
with no suit on, where Sam was wearing.
No. This is the one where we had Sam walked up and shot the 38 right in front of him.
Right.
The blank right in front of him. And the dog wouldn't move. And and then I got backlash from some people because they're like, in this part of the film, the dog flinched a little bit. I'm like, you have no idea how much that dog wanted to bite somebody. That dog was just prone to just fight and drive.
Yeah.
And Sam was able to walk back up to him and shoot the gun, the blanks right in front of his face, and the dog did not go until I told him to.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, we've accomplished something with that dog. And then the dog got a real bite on the street right after that and certified.
Nice.
So it was real good, and it was bad for the other handler because she looked like a dumbass.
Yeah. Do you guys see much issues in some of the police dogs with like equipment primary versus man primary? Do you have to
all
work?
of them.
As I say, do you have to work through that a lot? I would assume, where they would rather have the sleeve versus the man.
This is one of the bigger problems, and I guess at the end of the day, the civilians or the community they pay for it. They're the ones that pay for it, because now you don't have a reliable dog. All of this shit that you've been doing all week or all month in a suit or whatever, you know what I mean? Now you get a call and the dog isn't doing anything. I mean, you're just putting civilians at risk because the dog isn't going to do his job. But a lot of agencies, and it's not the handler's fault, they don't have the time to do it. You know what I mean? You can only train 2 or 3 days out of the week.
Well, a lot of times they limit them.
Right.
We had it every third week,
Oh, wow.
And I think the national standard is, I think it's maybe 12 hours or 16 hours per month. So you can go like every third week.
Wow.
And then you don't
It's not
have
enough.
the right decoy in front of the dog, because a lot of time the officers themselves are suiting up, but they're just giving the dog the bite. You know, but you're giving them something. It's a working dog. He's supposed to work for it, for something. But again, when they get in the suits or they have a sleeve or they have whatever they're doing, most of the time they don't know why they're doing what they're doing. Yeah, the ultimate goal is to give them a bite, and they're going to bite at the end of the day. But it's more shit before that and in between that. You know?
When you guys have been testing like any police dogs, have you ever tried like having a sleeve on, like a suit, and as they run, like toss the sleeve and see if they...
We've done that with a toy. I mean, you just pull the toy out, throw it, even though you're in a suit or sleeve.
And what % would you say like will go through for it?
With him, it's funny because, like I said, that one dog that one time that just shut down on him completely. I don't know if you just got some shit about you that just makes a dog not like you.
I do.
But it really is. But I mean, but with him, it's a little bit different, and I think it's air about him too. You know, the dog doesn't.
They feel the aura.
They do feel that.
Yeah.
They don't feel him being intimidated.
Yeah.
And that does change a lot for the dogs. But if you think about that in real life, you get somebody that's, you know, they're up on some shit. They've got something in their system, and
Jacked
they're just
up.
they ain't feeling nothing, and they don't care. That changes the whole demeanor for that dog.
Yeah. So you can see. So you guys have seen a lot where like the dogs will go after the equipment.
Oh, yeah.
versus the
We- a lot of
person.
them-
But whether it's with equipment or even, you know, a command, a basic command is just like, again, the same dog that we had out. We did the out with. One of the issues that dog had as well was his down command. You know, he would always have to tell him, down, like screaming to the top of his voice, and I'm like, God damn, I'm not even saying anything, and I'm getting a headache. Listen, don't stress yourself out like that. You know what I mean? Give me the remote or whatever. We're gonna have to redo the down. You know, we're gonna have to retrain the down. Sometimes, you know, you have to do that, but again, whether it's with bite work or obedience, if there's no clarity, it's conflict.
It's true. Yeah.
So you have to make sure that the dog fully understands that. I was going back and forth with a young lady one time, and you know, I saw this dog, and I knew the dog had issues, or not necessarily issues, but it wasn't ready to trial or whatever. And I kept going back and forth with her on the internet, and I'm like, listen, the dog isn't ready to go to trial.
Sure.
You're a day away from trial, and you still have him double lined, a prong collar and a shock collar.
Yeah.
He's not ready. And then when you're telling him to down, he's still not all the way down. He's like creeping up.
hovering.
We're gonna trial, and because my trainer said he's ready, I said, listen, I'm telling your ass right now, he's not. So
Yeah.
whatever happened, oh no, we had to go out of town and blah blah blah. But you can see it. You know, you're like, if the dog is doing the shit like 80%, once you take all of that equipment off, it's going to do like 60, you know? So
Paul, do we have any idea how many canines are out in the U.S. right now on duty?
No, you caught me off guard on that one.
Any guess?
I couldn't even.
Yeah,
I couldn't even.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's a tough question.
idea.
I mean, on average, from where I've traveled and gone to different places, if you have the smaller towns, you'll have little townships or whatever, you'll have 1 to 2 dogs. Most of your cities will have 10 to 15. Some of your larger cities will have a lot more. But on average, I think like PG County probably has close to 15, if I'm not mistaken, for patrol. So I'm not real sure.
Now, being that we don't actually have that number, and I didn't think any of us at this table would, that would be crazy for anybody to know. But based off of just the dogs you guys have worked with, right? Police dogs. What would you say the percentage of those dogs are that should not be on the streets? In your best guess.
Like 5%.
Like,
Or here, let's put it this way: what percentage of those dogs would you not want to go on the street?
Oh,
with
that's
you?
different though. That is different though, because there's some people that are fine, and this is what I don't know if we got talking to this or not, but sometimes it's just that when people become too partial to the dog or too bonded to the dog to where they're like, they overlook problems that they know exist. And they overlook them, and then they're like, well, it'll be okay. Like, I've had some people that I go, well, we don't really do that many building searches. And I'm like, are you freaking crazy?
You don't do a building search until you have to do a building search.
Exactly. You might have to do it one time. If that's what you might have to do, then your dog better be good on that. It would be hard to tell. I mean, for me, I think it's higher than 5%.
Oh, really?
Sure, I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that there's some dogs that are probably very good at certain things. If a suspect is running away, fleeing, I think that there's
like prey bites.
Yeah, I think good probability on that. But I think that.
But if it's a Sam that turns around
or,
and kicks him and hits him with a trash can, then
well, if that happens, that's a whole different mode.
That number goes way up.
I think, yeah, it would. I mean, and that's why I felt like we were training at a higher level.
Which is why you guys do what you do.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, for me, the dog was a tool. I mean, I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but the dog is a tool for me.
Yeah.
If he fails, then that's screwing me. That could get me killed, and that's what almost got me killed from the movie, the story in the movie.
Yeah.
But nobody ever understand, or most people that have something negative to say, they won't understand or accept that until they're in a situation and they need a dog to
Right,
say
exactly. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, people with like a golden doodle pet who's listening is like, oh my God, how could they ever do that to that dog?
Because he's a dog.
Yeah,
He's
but
not a human.
Yeah, but they don't. But their life isn't on the line because of that.
I'm
dog.
here to tell them it's a dog.
Yeah.
And Paul, you're real big in saying that, you know, this dog could potentially save my life or end my life.
Yes, absolutely.
I would guess that not every, or the majority even, don't think like that.
To me, if they don't, I think it's a mistake. I mean, when I'm working, okay, I'm not working anymore. So if I had a demo dog, it's a totally different situation. If he fails while I'm doing something, doing some kind of similar, whatever, okay, that's something.
Sure.
But the way that I think of it is at 3 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of the night, working midnights by yourself, and you're deployed. You're going in to look for an armed robbery suspect in the wood line. You have no idea where he's at. You're depending on the dog's nose. And then all of a sudden the guy jumps up and you're in an all-out fight with the guy. If he doesn't have a weapon, what are you going to do? What's your dog going to do?
Yeah.
And to me, you know, there's been stories in the past where there's been officers that haven't trained properly with gunfire, getting the dog used to that gunfire, or desensitized and neutral to gunfire. And one of them years ago, and I don't know where, or I know where, it was down in Florida. And these are things that stick out in your head that you hear about and you keep with you. But got into a shooting, and the dog attacked him, bit him. His own dog bit him, and then he was shot and killed. So think about that. I mean, to me, if my dog, and I also tell people that when you are working with a dog, you better be right on top of it immediately. If that dog does something that you're not expecting, you better be able to adapt and overcome super, super fast. Yeah. Because if a dog turned on me to bite me and I was in a gun battle, I'd have to shoot the dog to get the dog off of me. There's no bullshitting around with that. Your threat is out there in front of you somewhere, and so you don't want to be put at a disadvantage.
Yeah, that's a good.
And
way
people
to
don't
look
like
at
to.
Yeah,
people don't like to hear that.
I agree. Yeah,
but the dog is
it's
a
reality.
Tool. It's his life or my life.
Yeah.
So
we actually have a Danny Lyons from the UK who wants to give you guys a shout out.
Okay.
It's a big
what's up, Danny?
Over there. And, yeah, we have a lot of good people in here tuning in at this point.
We got to shout out anybody from Australia. Sarah Muller. That's my manager over there right now.
Throw a comment if you're watching. Anybody from Australia?
I love the Australians over there, man. Solid dogs. I told you they like their shepherds.
Yeah.
But I love them.
Hardest, for this question's addressed to both of you, the breed of the hardest biting dog that each of you's been bit by. Hardest dog that you've been bit by.
Definitely.
Pomeranian for him. It was a big one now.
It was at least 14 pounds.
Who Sonny had a really hard strong bite, but
I didn't bite.
you didn't
take a bite from him.
Oh, yes, you did, and I'll tell you the phone call I got.
Hey,
Paul, Paul.
But it wasn't.
No, I'm telling you what happened.
He didn't get me good.
Oh, wait.
He got me.
I
good,
get a call.
He didn't.
We had training that day. Sonny had been biting on me that day, right?
No.
What day was that?
No, I had him over.
No, what were we doing
house.
earlier that day?
We were down at the with the Virginia State Troopers.
Okay.
Down on the base, and I had to go water him up because it was hot that day.
So I get a call.
What breed is Sonny, just to clarify?
It's a
Pomeranian.
Malinois.
So, and a big square jawed one at that. So I get a call, and I'm like, Sam usually don't call me right after training. And he called me up, and I said, hello? And he said, Paul. I said, yeah, Sam, what's up? He goes, Sonny bit me in my dick. And I said, what? Why are you calling me? And he goes, what do I do? And then didn't we called Sue, right? We called a vet.
So is this a no suit bite?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was legit.
Flesh bite.
Oh, shit.
Sorry for your loss, Sam.
Yeah, no. And it was terrible loss. I didn't, but that's why I told him no peanut butter in certain areas of your body, man.
Can't win them all, guys.
No.
Can't win them all.
That's awesome. What about you? Hardest biting breed that you've been bit by?
Actually,
like one that you're like, holy shit, I felt that. I'm sure you get that.
For me, it was a German Shepherd.
Yeah,
it was, but it was a big ass German Shepherd, and actually that old German Shepherd bit pretty hard. He had freaking a head on him, about 115 pounds. The big retired one from Andrews. Remember the guy came down with him?
Yeah.
So he was like an older dog, and we were just, he could barely walk. And so we were just doing some basic stuff with him. And then the owner said, hey, he's retired, but we want to see how he does on a bite. And luckily, I did a wrap. And at first, I just did a wrap. Like, I had some kind of ace bandage.
Oh, so you kind of like wrote him off.
Yeah.
Well, I knew I'd had other German Shepherds, so I knew there's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I did a wrap, and then Billy Cotton was like, hey, I'd put a magazine or something under that wrap. And so I did, and then I went back, and then I let this dog bite. And the first time he bit me, he wasn't sure. And so I said, take him off. And then when he bit me the second time,
he was sure?
Yeah, actually, he was in the movie. You'll see that, Shepherd. But he was sure. And when he was sure, he went right through that magazine. Shit. And I didn't know it at the time. So I took my arm, unbandaged my arm, and I saw blood. And I'm like, I think his mouth is bleeding. And they're like, no, his mouth is fine. And I'm like, shit, 4 punctures right through.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Very, very strong dog, though.
So Shepherd for you, Malinois for you.
Yeah.
So mixed reviews.
Which one of ours on our department was the strongest biting dog?
Dino.
I don't agree with that.
Someone asked. Someone asked what is.
Well,
actually, Dino was just nasty.
Dino and Hutch, were pretty hard biting dogs. But the thing about Dino
He wanted
was
that
he was
bone.
he was going to bite you. He was going to get it. He knew exactly.
He would get you on the forearm, and he would want to work up to
the
where-
elbow.
So he worked up, not down.
Well, he works up because you started dancing with
Yeah.
pain, and when he found that pain spot, he's like, I like this.
I got it.
Yep, and he would do that all
Someone
the time.
asked what you guys' honest opinion is in not police work, of course, but in protection sports of Cane Corsos. Honest opinions.
I haven't seen any compete, so I don't have an opinion.
Never caught any or dealt with any, really?
Seen him? Not really.
No. So there you go for Timothy, who asked that. Yeah, if you guys have questions for Sam or Paul, feel free to comment below, and we'll read off
Send
some
them
of
on
your
in.
questions as well. And these guys are like me and Joe; they'll give you their brutally honest opinion on these things.
You can do that now.
you don't have to worry about that.
Street Austin Clove wants to know, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Austin?
And he wants to know, tell about that bite in the kayak from the Canine Guardians film.
Or before we get to that, he sent out selfies yesterday, I think, on Facebook.
He did. Yes.
He did,
Yeah.
and he's trying to use the same stuff that you were using after you get out of the Potomac and try to like that smooth shea
Like
butter
lotion
or
or
some shit.
something?
Whatever it was. So it's shea butter is what it is, I think.
That's funny. That's a call out. So kayak story. Let's go.
All right, so we had a couple dogs that day, and it was funny because sometimes the filmmaker, I think, didn't want to have the same vision of what Sam and I had. And so we started pushing the limits of the dogs. And the same thing when Sam would go into the water, and all of a sudden, it's not something that the dogs just pick up right away. You get them used to it, and then all of a sudden they're not afraid of it. So Sam had gone into the water a bunch of times with the dogs. We got to the point where we were able to dunk them.
Yep.
And then we knew the dogs were going to stay under for a period of time. Well, that day, I think the filmmaker said, look, I got 5 minutes left. And I said, let's push it. Let's push the limits. So I jumped in the kayak. And it was funny because the one running off the dock, when I ran off the dock, he didn't want to shoot that one. But the one where I ran and I threw my arms out and the dog bit me in the neck, he didn't want to shoot that. He thought it would look dumb. I thought that was really cool. That was a cool thing. But it showed that the dog didn't hesitate going off the dock.
Yeah.
The same thing. And I think that we put a couple of the dogs through that. But it was funny because that dog, and specifically, I'm not going to name it, but that dog specifically jumped off, rolled me after I went over, and went underwater, stayed on the bite. And there was somebody from Scotland that reached out to us and said, in the video I put out, I never showed me coming up. And they're like, we got everybody at the bar right now betting. There's
Did
no
that
way
guy
that
die?
dog there's no way that dog stayed on the bite. And I said, I will get the footage for you right now. I said, you owe me a beer when we get there. But they said, if you can show it and upload, and I uploaded the extra 30 seconds of show. When I came out of the water, the dog totally was inverted, basically upside down when we rolled over, but was totally on that bite, came up, and then re-engaged by punching in more.
Nice.
But it's
You know.
plenty. It's much more footage of
There's
T-Bow going underwater. The day that I got bit, I had taken him underwater,
a
several
lot.
times.
Yeah.
And do you guys find that that's a big problem for a lot of dogs, the underwater
Well, see,
stuff?
and this is, the reason why I wanted to do a lot of water scenes was because of the episode that I caught of Alpha Dogs.
yeah.
When the thing that, frustrated me, not frustrated me like, you know, it really was on my mind, but frustrated me at the time was because they had a vendor, they had an agency to come to them, and they needed a dog to go into, that was not scared of water, because they were surrounded by water somewhere in Texas or whatever. So when they started dealing with this dog, when they tested him, the dog didn't want to go in the water. He didn't even want to go over in the water after the ball. They ended up getting him to go in the water, but to me, that's not reliable.
Because it's always going to be
right. Because now, once you put him in a different environment,
it's always going to be conflict.
Right. He's going to, you know, so it's no reliability there. So me as a vendor or whatever, I couldn't do that. I don't think any dog that I've sold, I don't think that it's come back like a canine for not working. They may have been like too much for the handler or something like that, or I may have had some other dogs that, you know, it was never a lot of dogs that would come back. You know, most of the dogs that I would sell to different agencies, you know, I tested them or whatever, and I didn't see anything. You know, you can't. As time goes on, different things are exposed, you know. So, but I haven't sold a dog to anyone without letting them know exactly what the dog was, based on my opinion or based on what I saw. Now, could the dog end up doing something?
Be put in a scenario that it hadn't seen before.
Right. Yeah. It's a possibility, but I pretty much would let somebody know.
They were pretty sound foundation-wise.
I mean, from a puppy or whatever, I'm going to tell you the honest-to-God truth. You know, this dog is a piece of shit. You know what I mean? It's not going to do any bite work or whatever. You know, I'm going to let you know or whatever. So.
Yeah. And what's do you guys feel like your dogs now that you're like training and putting out, do you feel that they're better than your dogs 5 years ago that you were putting out?
I mean, you always would you learn different things.
I think it speeds it up. Actually, I think you can speed up that process of getting where you want. But I think that pinnacle is what we're looking for that we had in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that my department in particular was very lucky to have those dogs. They were very sound.
So someone asked, let's see, Keith asked, Paul and Sam, what is your perfect breed, Shepherd or Malinois?
I got called out by Muzz a couple weeks ago, and he put me on the spot. I picked Malinois.
And dick move, by the way.
I didn't mean to.
You shouldn't have. He regrets it, Moose.
So he said, what, because you said Malinois?
Yeah, coming down now, I handled 3 of each on the department. One was a bomb dog, Shepherd, but honestly, I like that handful to work with.
Yeah,
I do.
Sam?
I really do.
Malinois as well.
Yeah, because especially for a dual purpose dog or working dog or whatever, you want something that's reliable. So if you think about working, you're thinking about athletic. You're thinking about an athlete or whatever.
Yeah.
A German Shepherd is athletic, but it still is not as athletic as your typical Malinois.
Sure.
I mean, you're gonna have there's an exception to every rule. You're gonna have some German Shepherds that are,
and I think it also depends on the job. Like we did a tracking episode a couple of weeks ago, and we went around the table. We had a couple of Marsot guys here, and we went around the table and asked them everybody's opinion to Nick's and ours of the best breed for tracking, and everyone said Malinois. I said Shepherd, German Shepherd, because of I love the overdrive of a Mal, but I feel like in tracking specifically, I like him to be a little bit more methodical, right? A little bit more, more of a thinker, and not.
But like I said, there's an exception to every
rule.
Well,
the exception is Canine Blue with Ryan Davis.
Yeah,
well,
right now, the one that we gave to Ryan. That was my best tracking dog I've ever had out of anything. But I tend to agree with you. Most of the Shepherds that I would see were calmer on the track. And they were, right on it. And I hadn't seen many Malinois because I think of their their hyperness, or they're
Psychoness,
drive to go. They're
yeah.
like, if we don't find the scent, then we'll just make our own.
And my argument was that, you know, you get to where the subject did a right turn and you have that scent pull right there. They overshoot because they're in overdrive, you know, whereas a shepherd will tend to be a little bit more methodical and actually go around that scent pull and take the exit cone out.
Actually, when we talked about that with, we had Jacob Robinson on the last show, Marsoc K9, and I just taught 7 or 8 trainers of my trainers in Lehigh Valley. I did a 3-day tracking course for them, so they all showed up, taught them the foundation of tracking. We had like 4 Malinois, a shepherd, and then like a random dog, and the shepherd did better than all of them when it came to tracking. So I would agree that for that, from what I've seen, they're not as crazy.
I think that, like in Sam, probably the same way, is that a lot of times when we did see that shepherd, if we saw that shepherd that had that good mix, that we're like, yeah, he's got a zipper. There's a Malinois under that shepherd suit. That's the kind that we really liked. I really like them too.
Yeah.
You know,
but I feel like when you find, like going back to the bite dogs, I feel like when you find a shepherd that's fucking solid, right? Like it's a beautiful thing to watch. When you got this 110-pound shepherd.
My buddy has one right now. He's like a young dog or whatever, but he has the drive, the intensity of a Malinois. I mean, he's a workhorse. He's a handful. He's probably like, even though he's not, hasn't made it to the big show as far as Schutzen or whatever. He's like one of the best shepherds in the country right now.
And do you guys do personal protection dogs or no?
Yeah.
So you do. So because we get these questions a lot because we deal with a lot of pet owners on the pet side, essentially.
I already know where this is going.
Well, it's a 2-part question for the pet owners out there. If someone came to you, because we get this a lot, someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm deployed, I'm in the military, I deploy a lot, my wife and kids are home a lot, like I want a personal protection dog, be home with my wife, like give them a price range. What are they looking at for a nice, strong social?
It's going to be based on their lifestyle, what they're looking for. Do you have any dog experience? You know, so do you I mean, like different things is going to determine the price. Do you travel? Different things, but the more things that you want or the more things that you do, of course, is going to increase the price.
So would you say like average, like 25?
A baseline.
I mean, I've seen it was the guy that wrote the books. The Notebook, the guy down in North Carolina, he's got a couple.
I think if my price comes in anywhere less than 220,000, then you're good, because it was a female dog that was sold for $200 and something thousand.
What?
Yeah, someone got ripped off.
Well, I think if you took down
$200 and something thousand,
a female.
Yeah, I don't know.
Someone got ripped off on that.
So I think if you, like, for instance, if you looked at the money, like, and I would judge it this way. So we go down to a kennel and we pick up a dog, a green dog. That's about 1.5 years old. We started out buying dogs at $2,900.
I was gonna say like 3-4 grand.
And now they're up to 85, 10, whatever, depending on what they have on them. But then taking that, and then if you equate the time and the effort, 8 to 12 weeks of training and everything like that, and you can probably come up with a monetary value on that. I would think probably around 25,000.
Yeah.
And again, like when you're talking about a personal protection dog, you want a dog that's basically very neutral to family,
social,
that can be
obedient,
that switch on and switch off, absolute obedience, and switch on and switch off. But we've had a lot of people that come to us for an assessment or whatever on their dogs, and they would come and say, hey. And honestly, they just like, can you tell me what you think? I mean, what do you think is this a possibility I could do with the dog? We've had some people that just go, no, that's not that. We don't see it in the dog. And they're like, well, I want to find the dog that can do this, and they'll search and find a dog and bring it back.
So there you go, guys. You're looking at about 25,000. Now, say I'm the owner, because we get these emails a lot. This is where Joe thought I was going with it. We get these emails a lot where someone says, yeah, I've seen some of like these guys' stuff, but I have a German Shepherd, I have a Malinois. I don't need that because I know when it comes down to it, he's going to protect me. Paul, your thoughts first.
No, that doesn't happen. The thing is that this is what will happen. This is what will happen. It'll be a reactionary thing from the dog. Oh shit! Exactly. It'll come up and maybe a dance around. It'll be a lot of that. And there's been a couple people that have come over and I've tried to demonstrate that, and I've predicted it to happen just from the way the dog was acting. but the dog might initially come up and go like, "Hey, stop!" But a lot of times they won't even put their mouth on them; they'll just be jumping.
Man,
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You don't need something. Like
Anal glands start to.
Yeah.
Who's anal glands? Well, probably everybody on the scene.
That's a different show, guys.
So Sam, your answer. I have a German Shepherd. I have a Malinois. He has no formal training, but I know he's going to protect me when it comes down to it. What's the % chance of that actually happening? If you had to throw a percentage.
Are we talking just a normal person, or are we talking about somebody that's got dog experience?
Normal person.
No, just a normal person. I got a Shepherd. I got a Malinois. I know when it comes
went to the
down
Amish,
to it.
and I got a
2%.
2%.
2%.
You think 2%?
2%.
That's fair. I would agree with that.
Because a lot of these dogs are comfortable. They're going to, exhibit certain behaviors, at home in their comfort zone or whatever. So when I tell you to bring that motherfucker to me at 12 a.m. in these woods,
and you just throttle him.
Well, no, I won't even do that, because that's probably going to, get him excited or something like that. But I'm just in the woods, and he can smell me.
Yeah,
he can't see me, but he can smell me, and I start creeping. We're gonna see if he's gonna, come deeper into the woods, or if he's gonna shoot out with his tail.
And then of those pet dogs, that 2% that you're estimating, if I actually fight them, does that drop to a fraction of a percent? Probably at that
drops
point.
To take his ass to the pound.
Would you say less than 1% at that point of just average pet dogs?
You know what's funny, man, is that to me, I see sometimes labs, man, will come alive to protect somebody. But
Jacob Robinson's lab.
Well, I mean, it's just kind of hard to say. I mean, it's really hard to put a number on.
Situational
It's going to for what I would
instinctual though. Instinctual.
What I would take into consideration is when they call me and I'm like, where do you live? We live in North Potomac. He ain't gonna do it. If we live
out in the middle of nowhere and he's not socialized,
if he's not used to hearing and seeing different things, now someone that calls me from the city, I'll be like, all right, let me check him out. But
and that's kind of my argument. So for the people that are wondering that were asking those questions, that have emailed several trainers over the years that got a German Shepherd, assuming that they were going to just naturally protect the house. It's okay if he doesn't. Right? I mean, odds are your house is going to be fine. Your families are going to be fine.
That's why they make guns.
That is one reason to get a gun, if your Shepherd won't be your tool, or whatever weapon of choice, or 911, however you float. But my point is, it's okay, right? There's other jobs those dogs can do. I feel like, and the reason why I feel like I have to say this is to get the badass factorness out of it, right? And because I think a lot of it is that, right? Everybody wants a Mal until they get a Mal. It's the old saying, right? And a lot of people, they look at videos on YouTube or Facebook and they see these
edited versions of
or even unedited, right? And they want that. They're like, that's fucking awesome, I want that. Until you get into that life, and then you realize that it's a full-time gig, even as the owner of the dog. It is a full-time job.
99% of the time, they're not flying in the air doing these awesome bites.
No, it's just, you get a Mal, it's like
this guy, he'd gotten a couple of dogs from me or whatever, and, all dogs are individuals, they're different, some can settle right in, some take a minute to settle in or whatever, but he picked up this dog from me one day, calls me back, he was like, man, he's just laying in the crate, he's not doing anything. I'm like, listen, the motherfucker is resting. He's burnt out.
He's doing something.
He's burnt out because I couldn't. He'd have to stay on like a chicken or a pit bull, like on a chain.
Yeah.
And like go up in this hole or tie it to a boat. No, I'm serious, because he would destroy the dog houses. He would destroy every bucket or whatever. So he started to. He started to wear down his teeth or whatever. So I had to save him or whatever. So then, I had to change, locations in the yard, because 1 minute he'd be on the other side in the pasture with the cows and hanging himself or whatever. But I told him, I was like, listen, he's nonstop. He's resting. He's tired. He's burnt out. When I put him in the crate, he knows he's in the crate or whatever. I said, but in a couple of days, he's going to wake up. A couple of days later, he was like, man, I don't know. He's still laying here. He calls me back one other day. He was like, listen, I just came home. My
He was on Benadryl.
My sofa is on the other side of the room. He's like,
CBD.
everything is just fucked up.
The
in here.
crates on the kitchen table.
Right, you know, he chewed his way out of the crate. So.
Oh wow.
So Paul, your thoughts on that is essentially don't rely on your shepherd. Don't put your life in your shepherd's hands.
I think the deterrent value is
high.
definitely good.
Yeah.
But if you've got Sam breaking into your house, and we're not going to go into that.
Yeah.
But we get Sam breaking into your house, it might be a little bit different as somebody that knows dogs. But on a whole, and I do have people that come down, and I'll be honest with them and say that I don't think this dog in a fight is going to protect you.
Yeah.
But you can turn this dog on to where, like for instance, the dog in the hallway. I'm telling you right now, if
It'll
you guys
put on a
walked
show.
in, he's going to put on a show, and you guys would be like, I'm not doing that.
Or if you just want him to have a job or whatever, he has enough courage, you know, once he hears somebody tapping on the windows, tapping on the door, tap a doorbell, he can alert you. He
Yeah,
can at least
absolutely.
bark,
And then
know?
you can grab the gun.
Right.
So,
Right.
Or grab your Pomeranian or whatever you get. And
So now that you two are reunited,
you want to play that song? I'm going to play it all the way home.
is there an opportunity
Peaches.
we'll ever see a sequel?
We got a lot of footage that
Yeah.
wasn't
Didn't
added
make the
to.
cut.
Right. Well, not that
Can
it didn't.
I
make
just
the
want to
cut,
be an
but
extra in the background, just waving.
Always,
I
hey,
think like right now, what I
we
would
can do
probably
suit work and then, or no suit work.
Oh
You know.
yeah, sign me up.
if we have someone
Sean said he wants to do that.
if we have someone to come out and film, you know, it'd be okay or whatever. But right now, you know, because I am just stepping back into it or whatever, and my goal has always been to, you know, ensure that these canines are reliable. I just want to go, you know, start back going to these different agencies
Get to work.
and yeah, you know, see what you got, see what you're working with, let you know if
Make
it's
sure they're
something that-
solid.
And one thing I want to bring up too is that a lot of times I get calls of people and they kind of get intimidated. They'll see the videos and look. I love the videos. I love the music. I love mixing it up there. And when we first saw, when the filmmaker came down and showed that first shot that he did over the field over there with the barns, I was just like, damn, I've never even thought of that while we're working with these dogs, and it was awesome to see, from the outside view of that. And so I'm like, it's really cool. The videos are cool, and I like it because it does pump you up. And I think that what we've gotten out of this is people are working their dogs now.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. I think that's great. And not just because they're like, oh, we can make the dog jump over this or dive into that or swim into that. It's just that start thinking outside of the box, man. Be a little creative and see what you can get your dog to do.
Just not the long send in the open field type stuff.
Yeah, and I mean that's a perfect example from me testing based off of our last conversation.
What did you think was going to happen with him? What did you think he was going to do?
Yeah, I didn't know, man, because he's pretty new to me.
Yeah.
I've only had him for about.
What was your expectation, your hopes?
Oh, of course, I'm a fucking dog owner. You know, I
was
was
sitting back there going, he'd never done this. But
I was
he's gonna
hoping
do this.
he was gonna do it until I outed him, and then lick his lips and smile at me. You know what I mean? But it didn't happen. Now, but I'm not that guy, right? I'm not that guy that's gonna take that personal, right? I'm that guy who's going to.
We see it as a training.
Yeah, I want to figure out, and you can ask some of the guys that are actually watching online right now, guys I look up to in the decoy world. I've called them and I've said, "What do I do? Here's what happened. Walk us through it. What do we do now? Because again, I'm new to this side of the world, and so I'm getting kind of advice from all over the place. And
when it comes to shit like that, what a lot of people do, especially, a lot of the sport people, whatever, not take anything away from the sport because I know how much time and dedication
of course.
that it takes just something different from what I would want. You know what I mean? Because I can go to these trials and I can watch it all day because I like dogs and I, can respect what the trainers have done or whatever. But one of the biggest things that they do, and I want a dog again that is not confused. There's no conflict. That he is like it's no second, no minute that he knows that you are a bad guy. You know what I mean? I don't want him to ever think that you're good.
Yeah.
But a lot of the competition people, and a lot of police agencies, which I don't understand. You take these dogs and they have fucking career day and the fucking kids are petting the dog. That's confusing the dog.
Yeah.
Career day.
It's hard,
You know,
but it's,
I mean,
but that's the
again,
price
and
you
I
got
would
to pay
always
though, for
talk any
departments.
conversation that I have, whether it's about dogs or anything. There's always an exception to a rule. You know, every
course,
rule.
yeah. We
You're gonna
always
have
have
a
to say
dog.
that, yeah.
You're gonna have a dog out here that's the meanest dog in the world, but
And balanced,
right?
yeah.
But for the most part of it, with the lack of training and the quality of dog or the standards of the dogs that they have or whatever, the dogs are confused. You know, 1 minute this guy is petting him
And
this
he's
guy,
laying on the couch eating popcorn from the
well,
5-year-old.
no, not. I'm not talking about the owners of the dog. I'm talking about people out in the streets. You know what I mean? Even again, the competition people. You know, they're socializing the dog, and they need socialization.
Community policing, essentially, with the canine.
I don't want a dog
You don't
like
want
that. I don't want him to. I don't want him to just
You want him-
randomly
you want
bite
him raw,
people or
yeah.
whatever. But when I say go get his ass,
You
I don't
better
care.
go.
No question.
I don't care if he's 5. I don't care if he
Baby or grandma.
if she's 3. I don't care if they're dead. I don't
Right.
care if they're moving. I want him to know that, you know.
So it's like you said
he's the
earlier,
right.
conflict or clarity.
Right.
If he's used to being pet by
Right.
all these people, he's like, wait, this young kid right here?
Right.
Like, you sure?
And you'll see that sometimes or whatever. If you put like, you know, some kids out in front of dogs, people will say, well, you shouldn't do that as kids or whatever. I put my son in a suit. Didn't I?
He's bigger than you already.
Well,
so.
no, and this was when he was probably like
Yeah.
7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he was raised around dogs, and it, you know, with him it's always.
Did you see any of the dogs like kind of second, like, are you sure about this?
No, but this is what I'm saying. If you put some kids or whatever or female out in front of the average police canine or whatever, and they give them that command to bite, them motherfuckers gonna be like, who?
Yeah, we
That's-
actually.
That's kind of
yeah, I was gonna say I'm
As
really
long as somebody is on this side of the leash,
That's all that matters.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm actually really good friends with Cody Talon, his girlfriend Desiree Joyce. Now she's getting into decoying, and they travel around and work with some of the, like Alpharetta.
When is
Georgia
her
Police
cutoff
Department.
time to stop decoying?
Yeah.
When is that?
Oh, I don't
when is
think
it- I don't
she's
think
doing
she's
it
doing it?
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not
Okay,
doing it
yeah.
now.
I thought it was going to be like 7 months and
No,
3 weeks.
I
you know,
actually,
feed
my
the
dog
dog.
was the
I'm messing with
last.
you, Cody.
My dog was the last one she caught before she found out that
Yeah, that's
she was
true.
pregnant. So
That's fine.
honored.
And she said the same thing. Like, even when they work with some of the police departments, when she gets in
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
suit and gets in front of them, the dogs question it. You can see
Right.
there's
We-
a conflict.
but you
They're
don't
like,
want
wait,
the
this
dog
girl?
second guessing.
Hey,
Yeah.
and that brings up a great thing. We used to never put females into like the search boxes, and then we found that if you put like we would go, they'd have a bunch of boxes to hide in,
Yeah.
and you'd search all the boxes, and the dog would alert and find them, and you move the decoy around to make sure there's hot scent everywhere. But they would find the female a lot of times, and then they would just walk them. They're like, that ain't a threat.
And you guys just
And
never
you're-
did it, right?
Well, we never did it, and so then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, and then it was funny because we just recently did the same thing. And I'll remember in a minute, but something very similar to where we're like, let's try this with a girl and see how they do with a girl. A girl static target, same thing, man. It's going to be difficult. People
Yeah.
don't realize it until they've tried it.
But like I've thought about like what's the chances of a police dog having to bite a female, and obviously it's probably extremely minimal. But
That's
as you said
fucking
earlier,
sexist.
if it's possible,
They are
if it's
just
even
as bad
possible-
criminals
Yeah,
as
that's
men are.
fucking
That's fucked up.
sexist.
No, but
You're a dick.
to come full circle, how many videos on the news have you guys seen of a legit police dog taking
Yeah,
down a woman?
no,
I've
I-
never seen
yeah.
one ever.
If
Have
they
you
have
seen
them,
one?
if they have them, they're probably not going.
Yeah,
to
the only one that I know of, but it was.
Yeah, it's true. They probably would just take them down themselves or
Right.
send the dog. Where a man, they're like, screw
Well,
this.
they
send
just
the
had
dog.
one not long ago with the dog accidentally biting the lady behind the trash can.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that one. Where was that at?
I'm not sure.
But I
Yeah.
think the point of what their film though is that in their logic
Is to find those weaknesses.
is
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
just because we don't see it all the time doesn't mean it won't ever fucking happen. You know?
So, Dick Van Leenen, a great guy in Aruba, same thing. You train for that 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's famous for saying that.
Yeah.
But you do. You think outside of the box is why I love the guy. You know, he thinks outside of the box. He's got a solid unit down there that he trains every day. He's doing all kinds of things. Paul, can this happen? Paul, can this happen? Absolutely, it can happen. And I think that's why when we got together, it was fun. And we're going to be doing a seminar out in October out in Kansas City, I think, together.
Nice.
But what I love about it is that he's he's exactly right. The criminal is going to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
There is no rules for them.
Yeah.
So you need to train for things that you don't think are going to happen.
Yeah, I actually remember that part from the movie. I thought it was really good too, where he explained. He said, "We train for this, so if this happens, we're good.
Right.
But if we train for this and this happens, you're screwed."
And
yeah.
then if that does happen and your dog executes, he's a fucking rock star, right?
Again, the way that I was taught, and this makes a lot of sense. You know, I was taught that you train for pain, confrontation, and danger. So yeah, I'm gonna put some pain on the dog. It's gonna be some confrontation, because in confrontation there comes danger. So when you get a call as a canine officer, there's a possibility of danger, confrontation, and pain.
Yeah.
I've seen Sam so many times have a dog that'll come up. I remember one in particular. I think it was in a movie, but basically went low, bit you low, and you just basically flank the dog just by grabbing the dog. First time the dog basically had ever felt that way.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
But then we resent that dog back in.
Did
the
he let
second
go
time.
on the flank?
Oh, yeah, he let go.
Yeah,
Totally let go.
Yeah.
Then he's got to work for that bite. And then he's got to get pissed off and go, did you really just do that? And then he wants to get into a fight with him and go after him. But then Sam becomes weaker, because the dog will take it to him. And then all of a sudden the dog learned that if I run away from this guy, he's not going to stop.
And that's the other thing, you know, especially when it comes to the static decoys, or, you know, the ones that don't have suits on. The reason why I don't have a problem with it. Now, some dogs just don't make it, don't have, you know, have it in them to do it or whatever. But most of the time I can get it out of them. And that's because I'm inflicting pain on him. He knows that I can fuck him up. And the only thing that he can do, he can't fucking hit me with his paws.
Yeah.
The only thing that he has is his teeth.
mouth,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So,
True.
like, if it's your dog,
Yeah.
and he has that little bit of courage, I'm not going to say how long he has stayed committed to the fight or the bite or whatever, but in his mind, I'm going to make him think that, or know that I can possibly fuck him up.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be in pain.
Yeah.
So to get me away, he's going to have to first start off by barking at least.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get his ass so pissed that he's going to bite me.
And it's very easy. It takes about a half a second.
And then
really for anybody.
And look, right. And then the next time, and every time after that, every time he sees me, he's going to be barking. He's not going to like me, because he knows that I'm capable of doing something fucked up.
You got his number.
Yeah.
They do the wolf walk at you, don't they? Just kind of look
But
at you and walk at you.
but that's the way. I mean, most people. That's the way I raised my son. You know.
Yeah.
Listen. You know, this is what a hit is. Now, if somebody else hits you that you're not playing with, then you hit their ass back.
Yeah.
You know.
And for those that don't know, Sam's son is, from my understanding, a fucking incredible boxer. Right?
He's coming along.
He is. Yeah, he's being Mr. Humble here now.
He's coming along.
You probably never see that from Sam.
He's doing well
No,
from he's doing well for boxing for only 3 years. He just turned 15 the other day. But most kids his age they've been boxing since they're like, you know, 6, 5, 8 years old, at least 8 years old. You have some that's been raised in a boxing home that's been doing it, you know, since they've been out of the womb. Like he's been around dogs since he's.
Well, he trained the dog of Shakur Stevenson, which was silver medal in the Olympics.
His dog last summer.
And we met him. We went over there to do. That's a weird story. But
what kind of dog does he have?
Anyhow.
Pit bull mix. Pit bull lab mix.
Okay.
Super cool kid.
Yeah, really awesome, dude. So if
quick
your son
hands.
ever wants to go down there to their gym,
no,
let me know.
he's come to our gym before.
Okay.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, he's
cool.
my son's at
Cool kid.
one of the best gyms in the area.
That's
And then
awesome.
his I don't know if it was his brother or his cousin, Douglas.
Antoine Douglas.
Antoine Douglas. Yeah, he's legit too, man. Yeah, we
he
bet
just had
him
a
as
fight.
well.
It
Did he?
didn't go as
No.
As he hoped,
but
That's all
I
right.
know he can come back.
This is we have a couple good questions. Stefan Lecca says, should a police dog take a decision on his own if he needs to, or do you feel like it always needs to be based off the handler?
Good
Sam,
question.
I think a dog should be able to
read the scenario,
to figure it out on his own. You know,
context.
If he's been through certain scenarios or the right type of training, then it shouldn't be any problem where he couldn't do that. You know,
Paul.
Yeah, we do something called handler protection, where the dog we'll put the dog into a down, and then what happens is criminal will attack us again when nothing's going on. You're patting them down or whatever. So yeah, I think it's very
kind of like a
important.
defensive handler type thing.
Or a transport, right? I mean,
It could be, yeah. I mean, we don't get into that too much. I never did.
More sport.
But yeah, but yeah, exactly the same philosophy. You want, sometimes you want that for sure. The dog to know if he needs to. For instance, and I've told my guys, and even in the story, with Todd Frazier, the one that got drug out of the car.
Yeah.
If he was totally unconscious,
the dog would have.
Well, the dog saved him anyway,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
But you don't want the dog just to stand there. Essentially, yeah.
No, dog's got to shit. I'm like, I'll take the bite and I'll get bit. It doesn't matter. Just save my
but
ass.
but you also got to be careful because that's a fucking liability on that department too. So if he makes the wrong decision at the wrong time,
but he's a tool, no different from his
but
gun.
Yeah, but it's a tool that's making its own decision.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's a tool just like his gun. He's not going to leave his gun just laying around.
So I basically think Sam's saying he's in control of it as much as possible. The only situation that I could see it happening is if I wanted that dog to make a decision. If I got snuck up from behind, clocked unconscious, and I dropped to the ground, I hope to God the dog would just be eating him alive.
Right.
That would be it.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but you're also hoping that the dog doesn't confuse of somebody coming from behind you and going, "Hey, Paul," and slapping your back because you guys are buddies and making the wrong move.
Be real careful.
You see what I'm saying? Like
that's
my argument. Like
listen, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I'd rather be carried by six than
judged by
not carried.
I don't want to be carried. All right, I had that backwards.
But I feel like, and again, I always say, I did an interview on Moose TV a few days ago, and I always say I'm the first to admit, like, I'm no amazing decoy. That's not what I do. That's not what I specialize in. So feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel, based off knowing what I know and working with a lot of dogs, that they're generally pretty good at reading the context of a situation, knowing if I walk in and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, buddy?" Versus if I'm whipping your ass and you're screaming, the adrenaline's rushing, and
that's a good point. I want to come back to that.
It comes down to your decoy.
And training,
and in the imagination that we spoke about. Now, what type of picture have you painted for your dog? Have you only
I done the and the dog nails me?
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good training point.
And this happened to a guy years ago when I first got on, but he was on a small agency, I think like Bladensburg PD, and his dog had probably 70 bites on the street. Very seasoned, big shepherd. I took many bites from him. Back then we just used sleeves a long time ago. But he had one that was on the news, and it was on Channel 7 News, and they videoed a guy that was high on something, a big white guy, no shirt on, and he would not. Well, because I'm just saying. All right, so he was.
Sam, it was on the news, man.
Yeah, it was on the news. Yeah, it was on the news, so it's true. But this guy basically would not listen or follow directions, and the officer was giving him, and this dog has had many bites, and the guy was completely complacent. The guy was just like, "Hi, buddy, hey, buddy." He's like talking to the dog, and the dog's not used to seeing that. He's used to somebody's running or trying to hide from you or scurry over something. And the dog was like, "Hey, bud," whatever, and just talking to him. And he sent the dog on him, and the dog bit him, got him on the inside of the arm. And the guy's just standing there, like, not feeling any pain.
Wow.
And that was like a first, from what I understand, for that handler, because most of the time that big-ass shepherd put so much pain on people that they just responded, and all of a sudden the dog knew what he was doing. So it was good for that dog because he bit somebody that wasn't even reacting. And the dog was, you never know what you're going to run into on the street. Yeah. You have people that'll come up to you that were, just not right in the head. Yeah, they're coming up to you, and they're like, "Hi, buddy." And sometimes if you don't train that, and we've done that.
So.
And a lot of weird drugs around right now too.
Well, there are, man.
Tide pods and.
If you have a dog, have a dog, period, or whatever, is he more of a liability if he doesn't bite, or is he lesser than?
That's a good question.
I'd say more of a liability if he doesn't bite.
But because,
for me,
I, some years ago, I had
it's where do you want the liability, on you or the police department?
I'd rather have it on the police department.
Yeah, of course, because we're not cops, so it's easy for us.
A couple of years ago, I was in this debate or argument with this guy, of course, on the internet or whatever, and it was over the video.
And it wasn't me this time.
No, it wasn't you. It was.
It's just going to start up old.
It was over the video that was out with this homeless guy that was in California, where they ended up shooting the guy. He was in the mountains or something like that, whatever. But it was like a team of officers.
Oh, I did see that.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, So they were giving this homeless guy, instructions or whatever. He didn't comply or whatever. So they sent the dog.
And he threw his bag or
Right,
something.
right.
What'd he do?
When he threw his bag, the dog picked the bag up and went and
Equipment
brought
primary
it back.
versus
Shut up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Seriously?
It's on,
So-
it's
Oh,
on
you
YouTube.
haven't seen it?
No, I
So you have
haven't.
to look it up.
So
I will.
then they ended up having to use lethal force.
And they
Yeah.
did.
So they killed a guy because
Right.
of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So think about it. And that's the point that you used to bring up all the time.
I feel
about
like I think that was. I want to say it was DEA.
I don't
maybe
know.
No, it
wasn't.
wasn't DEA.
No?
He was just a homeless guy. But the argument that I had with this guy, and it was crazy to me. I couldn't understand it because again, it goes back to your the way you train, your training techniques
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. He was telling me, he was like, "Well, the guy never moved, and he wasn't even making any noise." And I'm like,
So what?
Well, you
What's the
should have
difference?
have to, yeah.
Right.
What if I'm the guy that ran from the police? Now I'm hiding under the trailer, just laying low,
Right.
like I'm not moving.
My buddy called me one night. We're early in the morning. He was laughing. He's a K9 officer. He was laughing his ass off or whatever. He was like, "Man, listen, one of my coworkers almost had a bite." He said he said it was a guy that he ran from the dog or whatever. So the dog ended up finding him on the railroad tracks or whatever. He said the dog was barking or whatever. He came back and got the handler or whatever, took him back to the guy and just stood there and barked at him or whatever.
Wow.
And I was like, why? He was like, because he was in his drawers. He had nothing else on.
So and he's never saw that
Right.
as a picture.
So
Oh.
we
It's
did
always
a lot
long
of
sleeves
right.
and yeah.
we did a lot of naked training.
So-
actually, on the second film, I think we
No,
should
we
probably
didn't.
release a
No,
lot of
we
that.
didn't.
So things like so things like that scenario you just talked about, the DEA guy or sorry DEA, it wasn't you, Sam says, but
Muzzle.
the guy where he throws the bag,
homeless guy.
Yeah, like those scenarios like that is like why you guys are doing what
Yeah.
you're doing, right? To prevent those scenarios from
Well, yeah,
happening.
but see, and this is the thing. A lot of people that I've come across, a lot of them, well, prey is this, and it's so exciting, and it's most reliable. No, the hell it's not, because you get a situation like that. The dog got the first thing that was moving. You
The
know what I
bag,
mean?
yeah.
Because there's no true aggression in
From
the
the
dog.
guy. Yeah.
In the dog to make him hate this
Yeah.
man that's not in uniform, because I'm pretty sure that they've trained a lot with people in the uniform standing around or whatever. But you know that this guy, you got the dog focused on this guy, and because he's not being animated and he's not moving or whatever, he chose
the dog says
But
this
then
isn't
even-
right.
the target.
It's no fun.
Yeah.
Prey is fun.
Look at the one in
There you
Texas.
go, JJ. That just answered your question.
JJ actually asked, I dare you to ask defense versus prey.
I mean, of course you're gonna have a balance. There's an exception to every rule. You're gonna have some dogs that gonna commit and prey. You're gonna have some that are in defense. But everybody, again, everybody says, well, when a dog is in defense or whatever, it's fear based. And no, the hell it's not. You don't know what the hell you're looking at. You know what I mean? Because if that's the case, then prey isn't reliable. Because I've been in front of so many dogs where I pop the whip and they want the whip. It's up to the dog to determine what he feel is defensive. If I'm squaring up on him or whatever, some dogs can take it, some dogs can't take it.
So then, with
divert
that
it.
being said, do you not give a shit about targeting? I mean, when you're decoying, do you it's wherever the dog
It
bites?
depends on
What we're working
it
on,
depends
actually.
on what we're working on. But the police dogs that I work with or whatever, to make them street worthy or reliable, they're gonna bite me anywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to wear a helmet because of where I'm hiding or what I have on. He's gonna bite me anywhere, because as long as the dog can smell you or see you, he should just bite you wherever. It's gonna be in your nuts, it's your nuts. It's your butt, it's your butt. Because if he's focused on, I was in front of a dog one time. My buddy bought him out or whatever. He's like, "Man, I got this dog. Come test him." Blah blah. He sent the dog after me, and I held my hands up. All he did was dance around me in a circle.
Barking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So again, is he
The same thing.
Is he more of a liability or less of a liability?
Yeah.
Well, the same thing. The first time when we started using suits a long time ago, the same thing. Putting your arms up in the corner bathroom stall or whatever, and the dogs are just like, I can't get to your arms. So they sometimes would just stop, and then they would go back and go, "Can't get him. He got away." And you're like, so they don't understand. But that's why
Every time I've worked, I'm not gonna say every time, probably like 95% of the time that I work those dogs are working they have to bite. They have to go through something, some type of challenge every single time. You know what I mean? Because I mean, they might get a call one day and it's easy or whatever, but when they are deployed or whatever, in their mind, most of the time it's like, shit, I know I'm gonna have to go through this wall, or I'm gonna have to go through this.
What about the video with going through all the folding chairs that time? That was hilarious.
Oh my god!
So that he surrounded himself with like 30 folding chairs, and the dog went left and then went right.
Well, he could have chosen to go over top, and that's what you want to see out of a canine, to go over, under, through, or whatever.
Yeah,
you
just
know
make
what I
it
mean?
happen.
Because we had another dog in there too that just barked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wouldn't go. He's like, I can't get to you. But the one dog went through with a chair
Under.
around his neck,
Yeah.
picked it up,
Yeah.
and bit him with the chair on his neck.
You're like,
Oh,
I want
no
that
shit.
dog.
Oh yeah, and it was hilarious.
Wow.
And
Savage.
So, and then we're like, yeah, and he's like, get this stupid dog off me.
Do you guys feel like we're making a shift in law enforcement and military to primarily everyone going to the Malinois, or no? Do you think in like 20, 30 years that you're just going to see Malinois,
I've been seeing more of it, you know, more of those dogs, because those dogs are typically easier, faster to train.
And they last longer.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
a big
cardio
decision.
and-
Yeah.
Smaller.
They on average probably 2 years longer on average. I mean, just my own experience. I don't want to
And
piss
they're-
people off, but
They're fucking crazier too, man. I mean, you can't.
well, it's funny. Like Hutch, Hutch was pretty pumped, but he wasn't a pure Mal though. He had some Shepherd in him. He was kind of a mix.
Yeah.
And a lot of the dogs you're seeing now have mix in them, whether they say they do or not.
What's your guys' thoughts on Dutchies?
Same dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in those arguments or conversations too. It's the
No,
same.
no more like nervy or anything. You don't feel like.
Listen,
First
if you
couple
have
of ones
if you-
years ago
you can-
kind of
you
were a little
yeah.
bit crazy. They were known to be a little bit off.
You can
Little
have
nervy.
you have two Malinois, two fawn dogs, and somewhere down the line they've been bred with a Dutch Shepherd. So that those two dogs can produce a brindle dog, or you can take a fawn dog and a brindle dog, Dutchie, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And have, you know, fawn dogs. You can have a solid black. You can have your brindle. It's a fucking Malinois. It's the same. His temperament. I mean, the temperaments vary in litters. Period. But just because he has stripes doesn't mean he's going to be more calmer than this fawn dog. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. But Dutchies are much more calmer. How the fuck is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another conversation that I had. Search and rescue dogs are different from, canines. No, it's not. They have if I was looking for a search and rescue dog, it's going to be the same type of drive that I look for in a dual purpose canine. The training's going to be different, because this dual purpose canine, I'm going to make him angry. The search and rescue dog, I'm going to make him more social. But as far as his drive,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm
Sure.
looking for the same thing, the desire to work.
Do you guys have personal dogs? If so, what breed?
Malinois.
Yeah, my last Malinois passed about 8 months. Yes, about 8 months ago. Last working.
And
dog.
you have a Mal right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And one of the things like I'd like to ask is if you could have all the police departments together, all in one spot, every police department in the U.S. with their canine units is attending like one of you guys' seminars. Like, what's a couple things that you would tell them?
Don't
they
be
should
soft,
doing?
Sam. Don't be
Yeah.
soft.
You say what was
This
your
is your
So-
opportunity.
So if you have all the law enforcement canines together, the whole U.S., the whole world, they're attending your seminar. If you could only tell them, like, these are two things that you should focus on doing, or one or two or three things, what would your answer be?
The first thing for me would be make sure your selection process or your testing is superb. It's got to be.
So that's where it all starts. Yeah.
That's where it starts. The second thing would be
Really quick, because I'd like to not add on, but kind of ask a little bit more on that. Based off of the training that you guys see with law enforcement canines throughout the country, would you say a lot of the problems you see are a training issue, or it's a selection issue? Like, this dog just shouldn't.
Both.
Yeah.
both.
So it's the wrong dog. It shouldn't have made it
Right,
through selection
because
and
the next thing that I was going to say was you have your selection process and then your civil work. It's not enough of that, So there's the confrontation. You see, these guys walking around teasing you all day with a sleeve or with a suit or whatever. That's not real.
It's not
realistic,
reality.
right?
Yeah. So better selection. Step 2, more civil work.
More civil work, and then your static work.
Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
your top couple.
I think first off, the venue that you're working in. A lot of people are like, well, I would never. I've heard people go, well, I would never even have my dog near water. I'm like, I don't think there's any place in the U.S. you really don't have a pond somewhere. A drainage ditch, something. So your venue, really focus on the venue that you work and expose them to everything you can. But again, to me, it's not just the civil; it's the real scenarios. I like to do a lot of muzzle work because then you're taking all the equipment away, get the dogs totally muzzle neutral, and then on command, dog's calm, and then if they're not moving, they're sitting there. I mean, we've done it many times now, sitting in underwear, just sitting still, and then send the dog on somebody that's not moving, and want that dog to take it to them. So I think, again, what Sam was saying, the same thing.
Same. And actually, that was an interesting part of Canine Guardians. I was like, ooh, this is going to be interesting. When you were out in the field with no equipment, no suit on, and then you were sending the dog, and he had to get 50, 60 yards and then recall.
We talked about that last time.
Yeah, we did.
And maybe you did. I feel like for me personally, I would really have to fucking know that dog before I would do that. If I'm the decoy out there,
you want to go do it with Diesel after the show? We'll go live on Facebook.
Absolutely.
So when you do that, is your asshole clenched a little bit? Like, fuck, I hope this dog recalls.
Mine was watching the movie. I can say that
because
you were heavier back then. Well, actually, no, you were not. You're a lot heavier
padding.
now.
I was more
You were
athletic
slow
then.
as shit back then. Like, oh my God, take again.
Your ground wasn't level.
Your ground
the
wasn't
ground wasn't level.
But
no, when I talked last time, he wanted to push it
Yeah.
even further.
Yeah,
and I
I
said
know.
no.
And we talked about that. Well, not about that particular scenario, but about that particular dog. We put a lot of time in training. Every day. Since he's not employed anymore, some days when he wasn't supposed to be, training dogs, we put a lot of time in working the dogs to, ensure, because again, we wanted the guys to be safe. So if we're gonna, put some time in with Hutch, then that's what we're going to do. So he could be straight or whatever. But we put a lot of time in, especially that particular dog or whatever. But before I started working him, and he was a big dog. He would fly in, and a heavy dog or whatever. He just, he'd leap and grab you or whatever. But because I would, make him miss, I'd skeeve him or whatever, he got to me. That's a street smart dog, because now I can't elude you. You know what I mean? So somebody out in the street, if they make a quick cut,
he's ready.
Yeah.
he's gonna put on the brakes, and he's gonna be like, oh,
Adapt.
okay, he could go left or right or whatever. But you ended up seeing part of that in the video too, because that same dog was the dog that bit me in my ass.
Yeah.
Because he was so used to me, moving, slipping him or whatever. But then I started, making him more street, smart or whatever. He ended up just hitting me in wherever he could get me.
So on the no equipment one, was your stress level still really low? You had full confidence that the dog was going to turn around?
Well, yeah, I knew he was going to be. We worked on it time and time again. Not necessarily
not rehearsing it, but it was more
without
like
the
just
equipment,
send out
but,
recalls.
Right.
Yeah.
We've
well,
done recall,
he wanted to do the down. He wanted to do the flyby down.
Now, yeah, I wanted
and
him
I told him,
to
I
come
said,
by.
you've gotten fat. And your juking skills, so you
They're
call
not
him
what they
juking.
are.
That's how he got bit in the ass too.
Juking
He's like,
But I was-
he's like,
listen.
yeah, he's too predictable. Like the dog's like, dude,
Listen.
really? Really?
The only reason why I didn't do it is because he knew I was going to sue him if I
would've
got bit.
Yeah.
I was going to sue him. It was already planned.
Like
I
we
was on
been
his
sued
property.
100 times from you before.
I got a
His
question.
lawyer was on speed dial.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Who are your guys, if you have any, or whatever, top 3 mentor, decoy, trainer?
Man.
What's your list? I'm curious. Do you have a list or no?
Yeah, I have a list.
Let's hear it, man.
Well, where it started for me, I'm gonna name them in the order that I met them. You have Butch Henderson.
Okay.
Taught me a lot. I'm talking about from day one. It's not like one of those people that sometimes people you have to deal with them over time, and they slowly reveal information to you, whatever. But like off the top, it was him, and then
Very
it was
familiar.
a guy that he was working with named Ron Marshall from Sound K9. Ron is like this hardcore street guy or whatever. You definitely going to get results immediately. I mean, he's just like me, but he's much more quiet or reserved. He doesn't talk to a lot of people or whatever, but he really knows his shit. I'm talking about like a genius,
Like
I'm
a
telling you.
savant.
Right. And then you have Chico Stanford. Chico Stanford is well known in the Schutzen community. Been training at a high level, competing at a high level, all of them for many years. Then you have your Mike Suttle, you know, from out Logan Hoss or whatever. I mean, Mike was the same way too. As soon as I met him, it was like, here's this, here's that. As far as knowledge or whatever. And then Wayne, and I saw a lot of comments, or a couple of comments from this guy was saying that Wayne was a racist, and he said, I've been around Wayne a couple of times, and it was like it's the same shit. This is why you do this, and this is this. So those are my top guys, and I don't think it gets any higher, or you can get any more knowledge, especially with all of those people combined.
Yeah. Good list.
It's no comparison.
Cool. Paul, do you have one?
Yeah, it's more of just coming through the police department, but I think Doug Hamons is one of the ones that reflected well with me. I grew up with a guy, and he's just a natural with dogs, and so we would do stupid shit on midnights together. He eventually became my sergeant, but we're about the same age, so we played ball together in college and everything. So we would just push each other and go. Come
and you
on,
need
dude.
people like Doug. I'm telling you.
Well, Black Doug.
Black Doug.
Well,
but both of them too. I mean, because they're stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, it makes
no, really. I'm telling you, because some people are scared to try shit or don't do shit, but it's like two. I'm not gonna say two, because all of us, we would do the same shit. It's like when you're growing up with kids and you just do stupid shit for no reason. Let's say, let's try this shit. That's how it is. But it
See
works.
what happens.
It works.
Yeah.
You're not putting dogs in danger or anything, but you end up doing shit that would possibly fuck you up or something. You know what I mean?
And that stops when you get an adult, right?
No, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It didn't stop or whatever, because we'd be out there and it'd be like, well, shit, let's do
see
this.
what happens.
No,
Hold my
that's
beer.
But when you have a dog of a certain caliber, you're willing to risk certain shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and that's the thing. We didn't ever want to, even whatever caliber, if we got a dog that's totally squared away, we still want to find that level that we could keep pushing, too. But I think with Doug, John Bennix is another guy, retired police officer now, freaking fantastic for street. Like, this shit's going to happen to you. Train this way. Timmy Carroll, Bo Curry, there's different people that I came out under that. It's funny because these guys got shrugged off after 35 years in the canine, putting their life and everything into this, and then they had some other trainer that kind of came in and just kind of was like, these guys are all bad.
Yeah.
And tried to go with this new upcoming whatever, and I'm like, give me a break. I mean, now I've been around the world now, and I've seen people that have trained the same mentality, the same philosophy as these guys.
Right.
Are like, use what you're doing on the street, police mode, whatever, and it works. And this new trainer had nothing to do with anybody around the world. It's like, wow, it's amazing that, like you said earlier, that you have other trainers that are doing things the right way.
Yeah.
And like Sam said, you got a toolbox that you have a mix of people, and that's what I like. I like when you can call up a trainer and they don't have an ego, and they're like, hey, Paul, we're having a problem with something. I'm like, oh, thank God you called me, because now I want to square you away on that. You don't be a dick to them. You're just like, hey, if I don't know, I'll talk to Sam, I'll talk to Doug, I'll talk to somebody, and we'll figure this shit out.
Yeah.
But that's better. That betters everybody.
It's never been a time, because before, I had gotten away from dogs. I've been away for, a bit now or whatever. But anytime throughout the years, I could call either one of them or send them a message. Listen, because I still have my issues. These are my mentors or whatever,
Yes.
I could always get, a solution or any information. It's not, I'm going to charge you $100 an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I feel that's important for trainers. You got to have those mentors.
Yeah.
You got to have those guys you look up to.
They have the same passion or higher. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And they want to see the dog succeed.
Yeah.
And not just that, but assuming a dog trainer doesn't have a mentor, that's them saying that they know everything. You know what I mean? That they've already figured it all out,
Well,
and they never need to ask any questions.
I can't take that. I really can't. I
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. So
that ego shit has just got to stop. And I mean, those people right there basically painting themselves into a corner because more and more people are coming out and going, you know, they're just kind of very standoffish. Going, if you don't listen to my way, then you're wrong.
You have you this and there's two type of people, and there may be more, but from what I think about that is you have some people, you know, that have the egos that's just like, you know, fucking, I don't want to talk to anybody. But then you have the ones that are just competitive. They're super competitive. You know what I mean?
feel
It's
like
not
that's a
ego,
lot of
but
it.
it's super competitive.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyhow, look, what do you guys got going on up here in the future? Anything exciting
Our
or?
Reunited tour apparently.
Well, yeah.
Peaches
you know.
And
we're-
it started here.
It did start here.
Right, of course. You know, I'm like I said, I'm open to you know, the different agencies, you know, military or police agencies, whether it's local or out of town, because I know it's a lot of people that have a lot of questions or a lot of unanswered questions. They want to, you know, test their dogs. They want to be taught the proper way to decoy, because it matters. You know what I mean? That's where it starts. If your decoy is no good, and I'm not saying that I'm the best, but I know that I've had results bringing certain things out of all dogs.
Sure.
You know, I mean, if they're going to work, they're going to work. We're going to make them better. If they're not going to work, I'm going to let you know.
Yeah.
But it's no sense of just sitting around not knowing. You know, it's like having your service weapon, your gun. You've never shot it or anything or whatever, and you need somebody to come and shoot with you. There's no sense of wait until you get that call and then your gun is jamming. You know what I mean? So.
Do you, is there a way for people to follow you online or to reach out to you? Do you want to release any of that?
I'm not on social media. But
I'm his best
anybody,
white friend. Hold on, let's say that like you said in the car earlier.
I told you Mike was my best white friend.
Mike Subtle is not. That is not. I'm going to
white
retract
friend.
that. Mike Subtle is not your best white friend.
But
You told me in the car I was.
No, I did not say that. When you pulled up,
It was after I bought Chick-fil-A.
See,
That'll do it.
He's getting older. His memory's going. What I said was
That's when
because
he thought
pulled
he
up.
needed you to get out of that.
He pulled up.
Ticket.
He pulled up in another car, different vehicle, and I said, so it had to be white. You couldn't get a black car; it had to be white. That's what I said. No, but yeah. I mean, whatever. I mean, if
I'm trying to set up like some decoy schools specifically for him, and then a combination of things. And then I'm trying to actually set up something like we do in Australia. Like we have some open seminars too, where we have security, we have personal protection, and people that want to come out and just see different things.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. Is
Yeah.
if you guys open up like your seminars or your workshops or decoying to like the civilian people that just want to show up and see and kind of learn and get better versus
It's a weird thing for when you're working with police agencies
To
and they don't
let
want the liability of other
civilians
people. Yeah, and sometimes some are a little bit open to it, but most of the time it's like going to a police academy. You don't want to just open that up to anybody. But I show the same things for opens and we'll work on specific things, and I'll show them how to get to certain levels with their dogs on doing certain things.
And you're going to Australia soon, yeah?
Yeah.
For a couple of months?
Yeah.
Man.
what are you doing out there?
training
So I've got-
kangaroos and koala bears and shit.
I'm going to get a kangaroo back if there's any possible way. And I hope my boys will hook me up on that, but they usually won't even let me touch the guns out there, which kind of sucks. They won't. They're like, I'll hold the blanket on, and they're like, you ain't touching that blanket.
They give you the polymer.
Yeah, exactly.
You
I'm like,
dumb American.
I know. No, they're great people out there. But no, bouncing around. A bunch of police seminars and some open seminars over there. Looking forward to it. Went last year and I did a couple seminars. It's just some great people and very open, very welcoming, and we just had a blast. And I think that all the dogs got to a different level, and they got to see how to get to different levels, you know.
So if someone, because we've had a few people comment in here as this has went on, if someone wanted to reach out to you and like interested in you hosting a seminar, decoy workshop, or something like that, what's the best way to get a hold of you to set that up?
For me, it's Iron Dog K9,
Yep.
and then the same thing. I can get a hold of Sam, however he wants to, get a hold of, or get a hold
Is that just irondogcanine.com?
irondogcanine.com, and
go.
then it's got my telephone number on there or whatever, and they can just send me a text. And I tell people that it depends on the travel cost, and it depends on that'll if I got to drive all the way out to Wyoming, it's more expensive to do something like that.
Or like fly to the UK or something.
Yeah, flying to the UK. I'm hoping that
we had
we'll
a
be able to
comment
do that,
in here
yeah.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a couple places I'm trying to go over there now, and
One
do
place
that.
that I like.
There you go,
like,
Danny Lines.
Well, one place that I
Yeah,
like
Danny.
to get to, because I've heard about like the training or the quality of dogs, and it seems like these people are in like a real serious need for it, is Canada. You know, I've gotten a lot of people to say, "Hey, listen, we need decoys over here, blah blah blah, whatever." But they don't really, what they have in it. They don't know what their dogs can do. So,
So
some
reach out.
Yeah, some of them are afraid to reach out because I think we only got like 6 to 10 people that are
Well, and you
interested.
guys are so fucking famous now from Canine Guardians
Of course not.
that it's like how do we get in touch with Sam?
Tell him
course
I'm your
not.
best friend, man. Tell him peaches and herb.
Nick, what do you got going on? I know you're busy, which means I'm about to be busy.
Yeah, so I leave Monday actually to fly out to Sacramento to do private training for UFC star Cody Garbrandt and his new dog. I get back from there, then I have Bruce Allen, the president of the Washington Redskins dog, 2 days after I get back from Sacramento. And 5 days after I finish that dog, I fly to Auckland, New Zealand to train two dogs for a family out there. Then I get back from there, and 2 weeks later, I fly to Los Angeles to do comedian and actor Brian Callen's dog from The Hangover.
Yeah, he's good.
And that pretty much puts me until June, so that's what I got right now. Joe, what are you doing other than just fucking off?
Well, I'm pretty much going to be doing everything that you do while you're fucking off. So, we got a lot of things coming up on the dog show that I'm pretty excited about. We have next week, we have two very, very well-respected IPO helpers coming in while you're gone.
Who is that?
One of them is Mark Pellin. And his brother was on the front line at World Championships, and he's coming in as well.
Well,
So
I meant to mention one of my buddies because he's one of the top shits in.
Give him a shout out.
These
Mark-
guys are from the
Mark-
West Coast, I believe.
Mark Torrance. He's from
Mark Torrance.
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
You don't know Mark Torrance?
Not familiar, no.
You got to Google Mark Torrance.
Oh, there you go.
I will Google.
So we got them coming up, and then we're still planning on Gio Gonzalez with the Washington Nationals coming on. Season just started today, so he's busy. So we'll get him on the books. Then we have the owner, scientist, fucking genius of Scent Logics coming
David.
in,
He's
David.
coming on.
and then Dawn. I'm gonna screw it up.
Rabinowitz.
There it is.
Rabinowitz.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
how do
know
say
Dawn,
it?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when is she coming out?
April 20th.
Is that
Hi,
what
Dawn.
it is?
Yeah, April 20th.
Dawn's our photo ninja.
Yeah, I saw on the movie, like in the beginning, I saw a little shout out in there, like
you
her
would,
logo.
you would never see her. She was always off camera.
Yeah.
Yeah,
climbing
close
on
by.
somebody, climbing on my
Right.
car, whatever, at seminars.
Yeah, I saw her logo fly across
Yeah.
at the beginning. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So April 20th, she's going to be on here.
That's-
Yeah.
Dawn's awesome.
And then also in April we have Jerry Bradshaw,
Yep,
which
Tar
is
Heel K9.
Tar Heel K9, the founder, godfather of PSA.
Yep.
Mhm.
So excited about that and a bunch of others. So we're excited about everything coming up. And
Yeah, I commented, I pinned Paul's website, Iron Dog K9, below. So if everyone that was commenting asking about how to get in touch and reach him and stuff, there's the website. You can contact him, text him, send him nudes, whatever you.
Like Sam does. It's
yeah,
like a daily
Sam
thing.
does it all the time. Seriously, thank you guys for coming
Hey, thank
on.
you guys
Like,
for inviting us, man.
hey,
For
I
real.
know it was short notice, and it's an honor to have you two on the show. Thank you again to our show producer,
Thanks, Sean.
Mr. Sean Jacobs. He's going to be joining me at the table next week since Nick is gone. He doesn't even know it yet.
He's coming out of the closet
Coming
again.
back
we go.
out of the closet. And yeah, anything else, Nick?
Nope, I think that's it. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it and got a lot of knowledge from these guys. I know I did. But like, comment, share, check out Iron Dog K9. And if you haven't, go to YouTube. Do it tonight. It's a fucking Friday. Don't be lazy. And definitely watch K9 Guardians on YouTube, and you will be so glad that you did.
And we'll
that's
see.
it.
We'll see you next week.
Thank
Later,
you
guys.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
So is this the first week of that one?
Second.
Second.
Dog show with Nick and Joe. It's a beast. It's going down it's off the chain, it's off the leash.
Oh, you know what? You take off on the same.
Okay.
Dog Show podcast, yes indeed.
That I am.
Hold up, check out the podcast.
know it is.
Listen to
Black
all
dog
the
is
lines, giving you advice to help train your canine. Take it down to the next level from the experts of obedience. The Dog Show, guaranteed you.
That's why he called me. Hey, Paul. Sonny bit me. Hey, Paul.
By the way, you're my
I'm running
best
for the cops. You're my friend. This is the guy I know, Paul.
The Dog Show with Nick and Joe. Hey.